Oh my, we are back on the YouTubes. We're back on the YouTubes.
Here we are again.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are on. Levels look good. How are you today, Sir Ian Dangerous?
I'm better than I was last time we did a show. My voice is somewhat back.
Good.
Yeah, I'm more recovered from my illness, he says, as it comes back a little bit.
As he frogs up.
Of course.
Well, guys, we got a big show.
How is your dog doing? Everyone wants to know.
She is doing better. She is doing a lot better. It's amazing what putting a few drops into her eyes. Bulldogs. It's a very common condition for those kinds of dogs with big eyes and droopy eyelids to have dry eye, which means they don't produce tears normally. So if you would just put a couple of drops in once, maybe twice a day, everything would have been fine. Mm-hmm. But it didn't get done at all for 9 days.
Yeah, you boarded her up in the hills over here.
In the Santa Clarita Desert.
In the dry, one of the driest places around.
Like if you guys remember, we had the Sand Canyon fire 2 years ago.
Yeah.
In the summer for, 6 weeks. That's where it was. It's just dry and desolate, and it's like to get up to it, you have to drive up one of those mountain paths, similar to like the hills have eyes. Like it's literally like this.
The hills have eyes, but your dog doesn't.
Right. Well, oh man,
hey,
come on.
Ha-ta-da-da. That's right. That's how I'm feeling. I'm caffeinated. I'm ready to go, man.
Oh, he is wound up today, guys.
I am.
Well, that's good because we got a big show. I'm gonna crack my drink here. Oh, okay. This episode is not brought to you by Purple Drink.
Purple Drink. Grape drink. Grape drink.
Grape haterade. Oh, that's good. All right, well, we're going to get things started right away. We're trying to hit right on the 5 o'clock dot, so we just jump right into it. So, Ian, are you ready?
I'm very ready.
All right, I'm ready. Are
Excellent.
You guys ready? Because we're going to go and start things off, as we always do, with our good friends over at Blueberry.
This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all of the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better media host or looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month free. And with that said, enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the only two-time PWG Battle of Los Angeles champion, King Ricochet, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open Podcast.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open Podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I would like to welcome you, as always, to episode number 93.
Oh, man.
I'm Nick Howell.
And the crown jewel of the Orbital Jigsaw Network, I am Sir Ian Dangerous.
But do you get your own pay-per-view?
I get 7 figures for my own pay-per-view. If I'm WWE, I get 8. So welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome back to the show, I should say. If this is your first time joining us, thank you and welcome. We do have places you can go visit us on social media. The Facebook discussion group is probably one of the best places to link up with a lot of the other people who are into this show. You can search for us on there. We have a lot of nice discussions,
yes.
Feedback. We have our live discussions during the shows, and then that's also like the hub for all the news about the show and everything else that's going on. Mm-hmm. You can find us on Twitter at BWO Podcast. And Nick, you can also find us on Patreon as well.
Yes, if you'd like to contribute and help support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/BWO. Check out all of the awesome tiers that we have over there for anywhere from $1 to $5 to $10, all the way up to $100. Whatever your heart desires, every dollar counts. Thank you very much to all of our current patrons and anyone who's considering it. If you have any questions, please reach out and let us know either in the group or privately. You can email us, bwo@orbitaljigsaw.com.
And one more piece of business.
Oh, okay.
Everyone, if you are not on YouTube right now, because as we're recording this right now, Nick, we are indeed live on YouTube. And we are live on YouTube every week at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yes.
So if you want to go check us out on YouTube, you can subscribe to our channel, BWO Podcast, on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the little bell so you're notified every time we go live and do this.
And that way we can get all the millions.
Yes, and millions of BWO listeners out there waiting to listen to our show. But yeah, so check us out on YouTube as well. Nick, before we talk more about our YouTube channel and a couple of things, a little more business things we got to get into in the big news segment. Overall this week, I got to say, we were falling out from Hell in a Cell, right? We just had the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view over in WWE.
Yep.
And so we had some fallout from that, but really there wasn't a whole lot of fallout because we have so many other big shows coming up.
Yeah, it's like we just moved on from it. Like, whatever, next.
It's not even that we moved on. It's that we've gone straight into an ongoing commercial for like 8 different products for WWE right now. It's relentless. It's relentless what they're promoting on their show, whether it's, the Australia Super Showdown, whether it's the Crown Jewel over in Saudi Arabia, Women's Evolution, whether it's...
Are we going to have TLC this year?
The Total Bellas they're promoting right now, everything.
God.
Yeah, TLC, they announced TLC in December 12th.
That's weird. Why is it in December?
Because everything else they're doing, they pushed the Survivor Series is in November, and then TLC is in December.
That's odd.
There's so much that they're promoting. But it was also a busy week outside of the main roster of WWE. NXT had arguably one of the best matches in WWE this year on NXT.
That will absolutely be a match of the year contender. I can't wait to talk about that.
Absolutely can't wait to talk about it either. 205 Live moved to Wednesdays and now is no longer technically live. They film it live, but it is not shown live.
Yep.
Mae Young Classic is ongoing. We had a mixed match challenge debut this week. New Japan had 2 big shows we got to talk about. PWG had their Battle of Los Angeles, which was 3 nights, which we got to talk about really quickly there. Plus, we got listener questions at the end of the show. Nick, there's a lot to get to, and I can't wait to get to it. So we got to just get right into it and talk about the big news.
Breaking news flash. There has been a lot going on in Nick Howell's life in the last couple of months. We went on a vacation, came back. You guys saw what was going on with the dog earlier this week.
If you're on Facebook, you saw the most hideous, that's like a horror picture.
Right.
What happened to your dog?
I wish we could have waited. No, I don't wish we could. I don't want to wish that on. I wouldn't wish that kind of stuff on my worst enemy because it was just horrible. The good news is she's doing fantastic. Thank you guys so much for all of the outreach and the support and the well wishes and hopes and prayers and all of that stuff because it's working. She's doing great.
Good.
It's amazing what putting drops in her eyes for 4 days will do. Stupid borders. The silver lining of all of this is that the kennel did end up taking full responsibility. It is owned up to it and is going to pay all of the medical bills that are now into the thousands of dollars.
Well, good, as they should. Yeah. But that's not really what the big news is.
I was saying, I was just prefacing that things have been a little busy around here, and I'm about to ramp it up even further.
Okay.
Orbital Jigsaw and myself are moving.
Yes, the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena is moving.
Yes.
My goodness.
We are going to build a brand new facility in our new home. I'm proud to announce right here exclusively on the Busted Wide Open podcast is going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina.
My goodness.
That might sound weird unless you live on the East Coast and you understand that Raleigh is kind of a mini Silicon Valley on the East Coast that's happening and it's exploding over there.
Yes.
There's a lot of production stuff that goes on in Eastern North Carolina. It's a great place to be with a lower cost of living. Los Angeles is doing nothing but breaking us financially and emotionally. So we're going to go and get a fresh start over in Raleigh, North Carolina. So things are going to be a little bit dodgy for the month of October.
Yeah, October is going to be a transitional month.
Yep.
We're going to have a few things. The show will still be coming out every week. We will still have a recap episode of all of the major WWE pay-per-views.
Yes.
So that will be normal. The live cast may go down for a week or two, unfortunately, but it will come back up once you're settled over there.
We're going to, the last one we're going to do is the Super Showdown recap Saturday night immediately after the show is over.
That'll go up.
Set your clocks, set your calendars. We're going to do a live stream immediately after Super Showdown Saturday night for YouTube. And for a small, indefinite period of time, that will be the last live stream we do until everything gets moved. But we will still be doing the weekly audio podcast. Just want to stress that.
We're going to have some more guest hosts. Judith Brooke will be joining us again for a little bit, and then obviously as soon as you get your feet back underneath you and the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena settles wherever it's going to settle.
Well, what if I just call in on my shitty cell phone like Ric Flair used to do with Conrad?
God,
wasn't that a horrible podcast?
Well, I mean, I loved hearing what he was saying when I could. I mean, he's garbled enough as it is without the static.
Right.
Yeah, and so I will be still staying here in sunny Southern California at the Danger Cave. So I'll be transmitting from here. It's going to be an interesting way to do it. Hopefully I can find some guests, some interviews and whatnot down here.
Oh yeah.
But so stay tuned for that. But moving on, the other big news and let's get to wrestling here. Matt Hardy looks like he's retiring. It is.
We didn't know that.
It's not official. Well, it's been kind of rumored for a while, and then just
a couple of months now.
Yeah, well, because he's been moving really awkwardly, and he's been teasing it on Twitter, but he's teased us before with stuff. It's hard to take anything that a wrestler says seriously on Twitter, and it's even hard to take it seriously when they actually say they're retiring. Speaking of Ric Flair, but Matt Hardy has said in a video posted on his YouTube account that he is done. All of his obligations to WWE are done. He's done his last house show. And he's going to go home.
So he's not going to do any producing or anything backstage like that? I thought that was what he was moving into.
So that's he has been transitioning into more of a producing role. For right now, he's basically going to go home, hit the reset button, probably get some surgery on his banged up body, and then come back and work. And he's not saying it's his last match. He's not even saying he'll never be on WWE TV again. He's just saying the Woken character is probably done, which it should be. It was a flop in WWE because they just handled it wrong.
Yep.
And from now on, we will probably be seeing less of Matt Hardy, and he will probably be transitioning into a backstage role.
Well, that's a shame. I mean, one of our specials that we could do, I mean, the Hardys have such a storied legacy in WWE for going on 30 years now. Have they been there that late 90s? I can't remember when exactly they debuted. Was it the? So
they were working in WWE from the like 94. I want to say is when they were.
I don't remember that.
They both came in as a couple of young kids.
Yeah.
And then they sort of transitioned into being the characters that we know.
30 plus years.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to appreciate how much they've given to the WWE.
Well, it hasn't been 30 plus years. They're only 40.
Well, wait, you said 94.
Yeah.
So 20 plus.
Yeah, 20
okay,
plus
I'm sorry.
years, man.
Excuse
Come on.
me.
Don't make it more than it should be. Oh God.
Oh boy.
I'm old.
So yeah, I mean, so do we have anything? We don't know anything right now. It's basically just speculating that he's going to get surgery. He's going to go hang out in Cameron, North Carolina for a while.
He's saying he's done. He's saying, I'm done. I'm going home.
I could totally see that dude starting his own wrestling promotion.
He's not starting. No, he's going to work with the WWE. He's going to get way more benefits and a lot more money, a lot easier schedules because he's got 2 kids and a wife. Is one of the things he said.
Maybe they could bring back the trampoline wrestling thing that they did back in the 90s or in the 80s, I guess, as kids. No?
I like him going into a producer role. He's got a great creative brain, as we've seen throughout his career. I think he's going to be a great person to be backstage producing segments and producing matches. I think that's a great role for him. It's a smart role for him. So, more power to him. It's just too bad that he kind of went out with a bit of a whimper with the Woken gimmick, not really, and through really no fault of his own. And I would even say WWE wasn't really their fault. Like, it had just cooled off so much by the time that Impact released it.
Had he come in had they sneakily debuted like that at WrestleMania and come in immediately just doing broken stuff? Can you imagine that WrestleMania if he gets up there and starts doing the delete stuff?
He was doing the movements and everything, and he was doing the delete, but he couldn't really go into it, and he couldn't call himself Woken Matt, and he couldn't do a lot of the stuff because of Impact, because Impact was saying, we own this intellectual property. You can't use it.
Thanks, guys.
And so it did kind of ultimately kill the character, unfortunately.
Yep. Oh, well.
But, that is the big news, Nick. We got a lot to talk about, so let us run on over and talk about Monday Night Raw.
As you said at the top of the show, Monday Night Raw, and frankly Smackdown, has been mostly a commercial for 27 other pay-per-views that are coming up in the next 6 weeks.
Monday Night Raw, much more egregiously so.
Yes.
Much more egregiously so. It felt like virtually every segment was to build for a match at one of these pay-per-views, which is, look, to be fair.
And not just that, from the commentary to the in-ring stuff to the video packages to everything that was going on in there, it was all just
It was either inconsequential or it was, hey, this is happening at this pay-per-view, or hey, this is about this match that's now at this. It just felt like their eyes were set so far down the road that what was happening in the moment was given short shrift. And it felt that way as you were watching the show. You felt like, well, I don't really care what's happening right now because everything that's important seems to be happening in the future at one of these shows.
Yes, and I found myself doing this again.
For those of us who are not watching you on YouTube, what is this?
Just pulling my phone up and then swiping at stuff because I was bored. I got bored of the constant commercial. I wasn't invested in what was going on the show because it was they're just bludgeoning us over the head with this stuff. And I understand why. I want it to stop.
Well, and what was also unfortunate was that it felt like the stuff that had just happened the night before.
Yeah.
At Hell in a Cell, specifically in the main event with Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, and to some extent, Ziggler and McIntyre and Ambrose and Rollins. It felt like that was kind of swept under the rug, too. We had an opening segment where originally Roman Reigns comes out, opens the show again, and he basically kind of, was like, hey, well, I guess I'm still Universal Champion, kind of like, oh, well, it's a good thing Brock came in because, wow, that could have been really bad, but, kind of got laid out. Match ended. I'm still Universal Champion. Great. Kind of shrugged it off. It's funny. Wade Keller calls Roman Reigns the human shrug. And the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of his character. It's just like, I'm too cool. It's kind of a shrug about everything.
And he's also got
nothing really matters. Nothing really matters.
This kind of head bob, like a sassy.
Yeah.
It always annoys me.
He doesn't take anything seriously enough. And so as a result, I don't. Anyway, we could go down another Reigns.
Go listen to our $10 Patreon special on Roman Reigns if you want to hear more about that
rant,
stuff.
But not going to do that right now. What happened was Roman comes out, calls out Lesnar, doesn't get Lesnar, gets Braun Strowman. Instead, Strowman says that he's been screwed by Lesnar twice, so he wants Lesnar. And of course, that brings out Baron Corbin, who says, you two aren't going to fight now, but you two and Brock Lesnar will all fight together at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia in November, on November 2nd in Saudi Arabia. So that all was booked here essentially. And Paul Heyman came out, brought the door to the cell.
Gates of hell.
The gates of hell that Lesnar had kicked off of the cell the night before and said, okay, yeah, Lesnar's down. Great. He's going to kill both you guys. And then we had that match made. Strowman storms off to proclaiming everybody sucks.
You suck. And you suck. And this sucks. And you all suck.
It all sucks. The audience sucks. Everything sucks.
I busted out laughing. I thought that was great.
He's got to be careful, man, because he did that later on in the show to Corbin, where he says, you suck, and I know I can kill you anytime. He's got to be careful, man. They're trying to make him a heel, and this is just so fun that it's just, he's going to get over as a face again.
Yep.
Again, he never stopped being over as a face.
Fair point, yeah.
So basically, this whole segment was to promote that we have a triple threat in Saudi Arabia on the 2nd. At the end of the whole thing, Baron Corbin's like, hey, Roman, I know you're not 100% after last night, so I'm going to get myself a Universal Championship match right now because I can do these things because I'm Baron Corbin and I'm a dick, which seemed like a gross abuse of power even for Corbin. That seemed to be the sort of thing like, wow, if you can book yourself in a Universal Championship match on a whim, that's a lot of power.
Didn't Corporate Kane do that once, though, with Daniel Bryan? I'm trying to remember. Maybe. It's been done before. I mean, it's a matter of
story.
Stupid authority figures.
Story convenience, and also because really there wasn't a whole lot else to do with Roman or Corbin, and it was just a way to show Corbin being a dick.
I'm fine with it. I mean, I like his character right now, so he could pretty much do no wrong in my eyes. They really flipped him around to be this corporate heel dick with a little waistcoat on and everything. I love it. I think it's fantastic.
They're nailing his character for sure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this did stretch my plausible logic scenario a little bit. I was just like, oh, really? Okay. That being said, the thing that really stretched it for me was later on in the show, Roman getting interviewed by, I believe, Charlie Caruso. And she said, Roman, you're kind of banged up. That makes you the underdog in this match. Oh my God. Stop trying to sell us this man as an underdog. And especially with his comeback to that, which was, I'm not an underdog. I'm the big dog. I'll be just fine. It's just a match. Dude, this is for the Universal Championship. This is a championship match. And this is kind of my beef here, is he doesn't take anything seriously. And so he doesn't take Corbin seriously. He doesn't take his injury seriously. He doesn't play it like he's actually concerned about it. It's like,
he even throws the
just
belt
my
over his
job.
shoulder backwards, almost as if he just kind of doesn't give a shit about that. And I that nonchalant hanging it over his back, I hate that shit.
Yeah, it's too. Here's the problem.
Too cool for school.
It's too cool for school. It's too nonchalant about the whole thing. And at a certain point, you have to show that there is peril for your main character, right? For your protagonist. Okay, fine. If you're going to have one guy be the main protagonist on your show, cool. A lot of shows do that, all right? Even ones with large ensemble casts. Jon Snow is the main character of Game of Thrones. It took us a few seasons to figure that out, but now we know he's the main character, right? Yeah. That's how it goes through a lot of these shows. Fine, you have an ensemble cast. There's one guy who's the main character. But that person cannot be someone who never has any problems. Right? There's got to be internal conflict. There's got to be some sort of concern. Otherwise, they're not an interesting character, and we have no reason to care about them.
We don't invest. Yeah.
We don't want to invest. If we don't see that they believe that they're in peril, we don't believe that they're in peril, so why should we care?
Daniel Bryan's a great example of the counter of that, the opposite end of that spectrum.
Remember the impassioned promos he used to give? And he would get you fired up.
And he was constantly in peril.
Babyface 101 is getting the crowd fired up where you're like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but by God, I'm going to do it. And you go, yeah. Oh, man.
And then he does it.
And then he does it.
Oh, God.
And you feel this sense of elation that has been triggered in you because of that. That doesn't happen with Roman. So going into this Corbin match,
You've honed into something big here. That's a profound kind of point.
I didn't feel like Roman gave a crap. And so I didn't give a crap. Like,
I don't give a crap.
If you had built this match as Corbin, who is a genuine threat, is taking on an injured Roman Reigns, right? He's been beat up. Let's just say in kayfabe, let's leave the fact that it took one F5 and a couple of like broken table shots to end a Hell in a Cell match.
Right.
Let's leave that aside and say, okay, he's beat up from last night. Let's work that in kayfabe. He is beat up. He is not 100%. And then make this match mean something, like it's the Universal Championship, and this dastardly heel is taking this opportunity to try and steal this thing that is so important to you away from you, and you elevate it that much, then this match means something. And I'm going to actually talk about another match on the show where they did that, because we had a match between Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins.
Oh, yeah.
Where they were both banged up because they fell off the cell on Sunday. And Corbin convinced Ziggler it would be a good idea to challenge Rollins, because if Rollins didn't show up, then Ziggler would automatically win the Intercontinental title.
Strip him.
Because he would strip him.
Right.
He'd say, oh, you didn't show up for a match. You're stripped of the title. Now it's Dolph Ziggler's. And Ziggler said, oh, that sounds like a great idea. I'll have to fight Seth, and I get my IC title back. Well, Seth does show up, and he's told he has a match, and he gives this immediate like, oh, crap. Well, it's a good thing I'm Monday Night Rollins, because who here? And they had this match where it was basically a who can sell better match. They were selling that they were hurt the entire match, and you felt like at any point either of these guys, their bodies could just fail on.
Would just collapse, yeah.
Right. That was what they should have done in the main event. I know maybe they didn't want to have it be too close, the two matches, too close in style, but then don't book two matches of the same style. You know what I mean? Like, find something else. But it makes Roman, it doesn't help Roman and it doesn't help Corbin to have him look like, well, maybe Roman wasn't as injured as we thought he was. Makes Corbin look like an idiot. But if you look at what Dolph Ziggler and Seth Rollins did, and Rollins did end up picking up the victory at the end with the curb stomp that he was almost too hurt to cover Ziggler on, that felt like a match where there were stakes.
Yeah.
And you did not know who was more injured. Like, these both guys sold like they were legitimately, their bodies were barely functioning.
I want to go back to a point that you made, and I want to make sure that we earmark that, because you really clocked onto something there, and as you were describing, I was like, yes, that's it. Where you just there's no faults with Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
That's very profound. I really like, and we've got several people in the chat on YouTube here watching the stream saying that they don't even watch Monday Night Raw anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm going, wow. Are they listening to us still? I hope so, because this is the kind of stuff that they really need to hear. And it's one of those, I really just want to make sure that is such I've really clocked on to that now. I can't stop thinking about it since you've said it a few minutes ago. That's really it. I don't give a shit about Roman Reigns because he can do no wrong. He's infallible.
He's infallible, and that's part of the issue. And Will James in the comments said that the only issue is if Roman cared more, we'd complain about Roman selling himself as the underdog. Well, that's part of the problem too, is he's booked to be so strong and be so incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
Right? That we can't believe in him as an underdog. So you can't have it both ways. You can't have him be so strong and infallible and then have us believe that he's beatable ever, right? He's got to be beatable. He has to have some flaws. If he is this strong, there has to be something else that counters that, right?
Yeah.
That's just classic Aristotelian drama.
Yeah.
Anyway, bottom line is there's a lot of things that they could tweak about Roman that they could fix. We always talk about that. Bottom line is this show just showed him off more. In addition, part of this whole main group of guys that we're dealing with, in addition to the Rollins and Ziggler match, we had an Ambrose versus McIntyre one-on-one finally. We've been wanting that for a long time.
Yes, finally got it.
And here's what's crazy. First of all, it's a great match, just as we thought it would be. Both these guys are just in incredible shape right now.
Drew McIntyre's next level. He's becoming, if it wasn't already last year when we saw him at NXT, has become one of my favorite wrestlers.
He went away and legit upped his game. But so did Ambrose. Ambrose came back from injury.
Ambrose is looking a little jacked.
With a new moveset and a more jacked body, as you said. Like, he's looking fantastic in the ring. Great match. But McIntyre won completely clean as a whistle. Clean as a whistle. Whistle. Okay? That says a lot to me. That was one of the most meaningful finishes this week, in my opinion. Because if you look at because you and I, as we've said, we're very high on Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
We think he could be the guy.
I definitely think he is. It's not if, it's when.
And we were worried about him being put with Ziggler and the way that they've handled him up until this point. I've said I believe that they're testing him, that they're letting him slowly build himself in. And this actually really compounds that theory for me, is because they now just put him over one of the biggest guys on the roster completely clean. The fact they let him go over Dean very clean, to me, is very telling about what they think the future is for this guy. I said on our Hell in a Cell recap, I think he's winning the Royal Rumble. I'm doubling down on that. I think that if we have some patience here, we're going to see Drew slowly escalating and becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger deal. And this is just an indication of that.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, next week Dean gets his win back completely clean.
I could see that as well, and I think they will go back and forth and ultimately lead to some kind of rubber match or something like that. But it's a matter of I do think that they need to split Drew off from Dolph. I thought that's what we were going to see with the tag belts, and that's why I called Hell in a Cell the way I did. Arguably premature, but this is inevitable that Drew McIntyre is going to get split off and become one of the next great wrestlers for the next 5 to 10 years. He's going to be amazing, and I can't wait to just strap a belt to him and enjoy the ride.
So I agree, but back to all of the advertising they were giving us, we had a nice long Undertaker promo tonight. And entrance. It was
I got up and went to the bathroom, and Undertaker was still coming to the ring.
He was, I mean, that's traditional. It's a traditional Undertaker entrance.
Right.
But so we had Undertaker come out and give a nice long promo that basically boiled down to, I'm going to beat Triple H at Super Showdown. And if he's going to have Shawn Michaels in his corner, I'm going to have my brother Kane in mine.
Hello.
I just broke down a 20-minute Undertaker promo into 5 seconds.
There you go. So Kane is coming out of retirement into, well, I guess he didn't officially retire.
He's just a mayor.
Well, so the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, is going to be in a wrestling ring. I wonder how they feel about that.
I wonder. Okay, so first of all, I don't like this at all.
Me either.
Okay. Undertaker, Triple H, mano a mano, no other outside stuff. You've got my attention. Undertaker, Triple H, with some overbooking and some extra stuff happening besides just them. I'm not as excited.
Do we need Shawn Michaels and Kane outside the ring? Not really.
I mean, okay, the nostalgic little kid part of me is like, all my favorites are back. Here's the realistic grown-up part of me goes, this is going to suck.
Yeah, it is.
This is going to be awkward. It's not going to be as fun as it sounds.
This is not going to go the way you think.
No, these guys are, I mean, they've said, like, the era has passed, but we're going to try and bring it back one more time. There's a reason the era passed. Yep. These guys can't go the way they used to be able to go.
Well,
and I suspect he can, but he still works a very slow style. Remember him and Cena last time we had Saudi Arabia? He still works real slow. So I do not think, I suspect Shawn Michaels will still look pretty good. if he gets in the ring. If he gets in the ring, which is being rumored that he will.
Okay.
And then it's being rumored that it will be Shawn Michaels versus Taker in Saudi Arabia. That's going to be announced at some point, or some sort of tag team. But that being said, the more people get involved in this match, the less excited I am by it.
They should have just left it alone. And I don't know why we're getting the whole band back together. You know, pun intended. But
everyone wants that piece of that payday.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, everyone wants
cash
payday.
that Australian check, I guess.
Yeah, but a lot of people are excited about it, and I know I'm happy for everyone in Australia who gets to see this, that they don't get to see this kind of thing often. So, You know what? I am just speaking from my own personal feelings on this.
Yeah. Well, hey, next up we had Ronda Rousey come out, and it was kind of built up all the way up until that point that she's the new champ, and she's gonna give a challenge, challenge, and all of that. Hang on, let me talk for a second.
I just love her going, how do you do an open challenge around here? I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like that was how she was building up to it.
So Ronda Rousey comes out to the ring, and they're teasing us that she's going to do an open challenge. And yes, she was walking around asking about it, but the whole time they're kind of teasing us, saying, "Is it going to be Natalya? Is it going to be Nikki Bella?" I don't think they said Nikki Bella. No. I actually thought Nikki Bella was going to come out, and that was going to be the thing that sets up the eventual match that we're going to get. But no, Natalya's music kicks. Mm-hmm. But there's no Natalya anywhere to be seen, and all of a sudden the Riot Squad come dragging her limp corpse out to the top of the ramp. Now, I have to say, you have my attention now. You guys know by this point, if you've been listening to this show for long enough, that I'm a huge Ruby Riott fan, been high on her for some time. I picked her to win the Royal Rumble earlier this year, thought she was going to get a bigger push.
Yeah.
Listen, I think this is going to be, she was handily dealt with, but I'm happy to see her getting this kind of work. This is the kind of she's working at the top of the card now, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
you're not going to dethrone Ronda Rousey on a Monday Night Raw immediately after a pay-per-view, but if she consistently can stay up there and do those kinds of things, and she looks great doing it. She looks
great. She gave Ronda a really good spear at the end of this.
Yeah.
The Riot Squad came and attacked Ronda. She beat them all away at first, and then finally Ruby Riott found an opening, gave her a spear, and then they all beat her down. That being said, I thought that there was, I knew that it wasn't going to be Nikki yet coming out for this, because they have promoted that it's going to be Ronda and the Bellas versus the Riot Squad at Super Showdown. Oh, this is a continuing theme this week that's been a problem, is they've given us online on WWE.com, they gave us the card for Super Showdown some time ago. So we already knew that Daniel Bryan and The Miz was going to be for a title shot. We knew that it was going to be The Bar versus New Day. We knew some of the outcomes to Hell in a Cell, and we obviously didn't 100% know because, card subject to change.
Sure.
But we also know that it's a bad idea to give out a card and then not deliver on that.
Yeah, you don't go away. Marketing takes time to prep. You don't go out and spend millions of dollars on marketing materials and banners for the size of the trucks and the buildings and everything just to take the picture of the title out of it.
But at the end of the segment, Ronda's getting beat down, the Bellas run out, and then it's 3-on-3. Oh my God, that's so crazy! It's like they're 2-3 person teams facing off. They were scheduled for a damn match. It's like they're trying to say,
filthy casuals in the audience don't know that.
But it's given us a reason. But so this is the thing. And some of these segments, the commentary was saying, oh man, well, I guess this is incredible news. We can't believe Daniel Bryan and Miz are going to have this kind of match. Well, yeah, you did, because it was posted on social media a week or two ago. So how did you not know? Whereas in this segment, the announcers, the commentary goes, well, this just makes sense because they've got that 3-on-3 match coming up, right? But then why were they? My head explode.
Yeah,
my head explode.
You're too dialed into the ether, to the matrix. You're too plugged in. Versus the 17,000 people that are actually attending the shows are not.
But don't you feel like WWE isn't dialed into itself? Like, shouldn't there be a consistent storyline? Okay, we can't announce this until this event happens on TV. Because what did they somehow not sell enough tickets in Australia because they didn't think they could wait a week to tell us that Ronda Rousey was going to team up with the Bellas?
I've been hearing Triple H say it's been sold out for weeks now. 60,000 people.
It was originally 80,000, Nick.
Yeah.
So what is it? WWE, is it 80,000 or 60,000? What's sold out? How many seats did you black out to make it sold out?
We sold out this week.
Just
55,000 people. Next week it's 45,000. Okay. Yeah, exactly. How many are you covering with a tarp?
Right.
Right.
That's my point.
I don't know. I want the commercial to stop. That's kind of the running theme of today's show, especially for Raw, is just, God almighty, you just got to stop bludgeoning us over the head with the commercial. I can't take much more. I just, I want more wrestling with my wrestling shows.
Well, that's the lucky thing is that, so Raw has become, because it is the flagship show, that is where they're going to put most of their advertising oomph.
Yeah.
Right? That's where they're hitting the most people. So this is where they're going to, that's the point line for all of their advertising. I get it. I understand why they do it. It doesn't make for good wrestling TV.
No.
And it doesn't help with a lot of the characters that we want to see succeed, whether that's Ruby Riott. Like a lot of people in our comments right now are saying, why aren't they doing more with Ruby Riott? That's what you're saying. Like you said, dude, she just had action with the women's champ, Ronda Rousey. She's getting a match in Australia. That's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
That's better than some people who can barely get on TV or get squashed. Like Dana Brooke.
Right.
Okay? This is good for her. This is great. And especially when Raw it's 3 hours and a lot of it's advertising, but that's its purpose. And I wonder when SmackDown is going to be the Fox show in the prime time on Friday, if SmackDown doesn't become that.
Do they extend it to a 3-hour show with a bunch of ads thrown in
and
there?
Whatnot? Yeah, maybe. And that's where a lot of the point of a lot of these feuds starts. So, speaking of other things, Mickie James and Alicia Fox, Alexa Bliss's, what do you call them? Cronies?
Entourage, whatever.
Sure. They had a match against Ember Moon and a returning Nia Jax.
You could call them the Blisters.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh
man.
I'm here Thursdays.
That's your one for the day.
Yes.
So Ember Moon and a returning Nia Jax. Your girl, Nia Jax, is back.
Yes.
And got a big ovation. People are really happy to see her.
Yeah. She also had a, what's the thing they're doing on Facebook Watch where it's My Kid's a Wrestler or something like that? They had one on Nia Jax this week. It was actually really good. I did watch it. It was. Are
you coming around on Nia Jax?
As a person, yes. As a wrestler, no. Okay. I think she's a phenomenal human being. I think the lineage of the Samoan lineage from High Chief Maivia that she's a part of, I think that storied history of wrestling is a big deal, and she seems like an amazing individual. I don't like her wrestling. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, baby steps, Nick.
Yep.
By this time next year,
we're getting there.
By this time next year, you'll be madly in love with her. Yeah, absolutely. You'll have like a little Nia Jax up there instead of Braun Strowman.
That'll never happen.
Yep, Nia Jax on your mic instead of Braun Strowman. I'm telling you. So this was kind of it was a match. It happened. Ember Moon did end up pulling off a gnarly looking eclipse. Nia, though, however, ends the whole thing, crushes poor Alicia Fox with the Samoan drop for the 1-2-3. So big return for her, but really didn't build to anything, which is kind of like, hey, all these women are back, and they didn't. They're kind of this week. I felt like underplaying Evolution a little bit. They're talking a lot more about Super Showdown. And Crown Jewel, and not really being like, by the way, Evolution's a big deal. Because remember, there was a couple of weeks there where they were basically saying that Evolution was the most important thing that's ever happened in WWE. You're not hearing that anymore.
Savvy says.
Nope, not hearing it right now. Here's the thing. Did you watch Hulu this week?
I did.
You did. So you missed out on probably my favorite segment on Raw.
How is that even possible?
Because Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush are now a thing. Lio Rush is now officially Bobby Lashley's manager. Okay. So Elias and Bobby Lashley had a match with Lio Rush on commentary.
Okay.
Kevin Owens comes out and tries to attack Lio Rush. Lio Rush basically runs circles around him, dances all around, runs down to the ring, runs circles around Elias, who, by the way, had the line of the night when so Elias starts with his little shtick.
Yeah.
And Lio Rush comes out, starts talking smack to him before the Bobby Lashley match, and Elias looks around and goes, "Whose kid is this?"
Yeah.
Right?
Me.
Oh, my God.
It's a little Roadrunner.
But basically, at the end of all this, Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley end up putting one over on Kevin Owens and Elias. And Lio Rush ends up getting up on Bobby Lashley's shoulders. Bobby Lashley almost drops him. But then the end of the whole thing is little Lio Rush on Bobby Lashley's ginormous shoulders, laughing at Kevin Owens and Elias, who are frustrated outside the ring. This whole segment, it's on
Come on, Kurt Angle.
WWE.com. Go on there and check it out because it is well worth a watch. It's fantastic. My eyebrows went way up when I heard that Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley were going to become a thing. I'm all in now. I'm all in on it. It's fantastic.
I'm sorry for cracking up. I couldn't hold it together. DJ Butters in the chat said Niabetes. And I can't not
He said
that.
He said diarrhea before that.
To talk about her wrestling, yes. That's I think
God.
about it. That's what it's diarrhea. Oh boy. Okay, so where are we going next? Yeah, I can't wait to see the last
Niatastic.
Well said, sir. Well said.
Yeah. But here's the thing: is I love Lio Rush and Bobby Lashley. They need to turn Lashley heel. It's not going to happen with Lio Rush, I don't think. But if they become kind of like a cocky heel team of some sort, where Lio turns him into the same kind of cocky heel that Lio is on 205 Live, that's right in Bobby Lashley's wheelhouse. That is right. If you watched him in TNA, that is Bobby Lashley's game.
How was Lio Rush on Raw before,
and
like
also,
Velveteen Dream or something like that? By the way,
just convenience. Someone said he would, haha, little guy with a big guy. Ha, that sounds great, pal. That's hilarious. People will laugh at that. But this is the thing: is that I think that Bobby Lashley, we're short of heels, like really good, legit heels on Monday Night Raw. Legit heels. We got a lot of heels. I'm talking like, if you can imagine Bobby Lashley as that cocky big heel with a little mouthpiece. Yeah, I think that could be fantastic.
Well, that could be really good.
Just saying.
Hey, what else happened on the main show that I didn't see on the Hulu edition?
Bayley beat Dana Brooke pretty handily.
Okay.
AOP beat up a couple of enhancement guys. Barrett Brown and Gregory James. They squashed them. Another same old thing. Same thing AOP's been doing since they got called up. Just now with Drake Maverick alongside them.
Okay, so he was still out. He's
looking
still
like
their
an action
manager,
figure.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chad Gable beat Victor. And he actually knocked out Connor at the same time, much to Bobby Roode's surprise. That whole thing's still going on. But really, honestly, I don't rate that as anything yet until it gets a little bit more time and weight to it. And the fact that they're still fighting the Ascension is not good.
So Gable and Roode are going to be a long-running tag team. Is that really going to be
I don't know. We're
thing?
kind of already seeing a bit of grumbling between them, and hopefully it means that Roode turns heel.
Yes, please.
Please.
Put a suit on that guy and make him a dick heel. You talk about needing good heels?
Yeah.
Bobby Roode is a good dick heel.
But aside from that, right now, it's pretty much nothing.
Well, guys, that's it for Monday Night Raw, but we're not done. We've got to go over and talk about everything that went down on Smackdown Live.
Well. The big thing to talk about on SmackDown Live once again is my favorite feud on the main roster, Becky and Charlotte Flair. And once again, this was the main segment on SmackDown this week. This was the end of the show, was just Becky getting her belt. That's all this was.
The
coronation of Becky Lynch as the new SmackDown Live.
Paige unveiling the belt under the velvet
I love
blanket.
Becky sarcastically going, wow, you went all out here, Paige.
Right.
I've got a table and a little, like a drape over it and the belt. I don't need balloons or like everyone else in the women's locker room out here to celebrate. No, that's cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
No, it's great.
Sarcasm level 100.
Yeah, but at the same time, she also said, I really don't need that. I just want to have Charlotte come out here right now. Which at first I was like, wait, you don't want Charlotte to take your moment at Hell in a Cell, but you're okay with her taking it now. But it did make sense. And this is what I liked about this. It made complete sense because she brought Charlotte out and just went on a gloat spree, was gloating about it. Like, Charlotte, I want you to raise my hand. No, I don't want you to raise my hand. I want you to put the belt on me.
Actually, no, I don't want you to do either of those things. I just want you to call me queen.
Bitch.
Woo!
This was I think it was Jaffa in our Facebook discussion group who just posted hashtag Becky316.
Yes.
Like when that happened, he was just like,
we do have those
it's
shirts on TeePublic, by the way. So
we
if you want to go to
orbitaljigsaw.com/store,
we have sold a few of them
yeah,
already.
The Becky316 shirts.
Yep,
absolutely.
people are buying them. And as I've always said, guys, if we see you in the audience on one of the shows wearing one of our shirts or holding up a poster for the show or something like that, we will send you a
swag bag.
package, some prizes.
Swag bag.
Definitely keep that in mind.
Here's the thing. Here's the one thing.
Yep.
I loved all of this.
Yep.
I love Becky's attitude. I love how how the two of them interact. Charlotte and Becky are both playing their parts to perfection. Charlotte as the kind of bewildered friend who's still trying to figure out how her best friend could have gone so bad. Becky as the person who's just finally letting her inner rage out and just reveling in it. And she beat up Charlotte at the end of this whole thing, put her in, disarm her, and walked away as Charlotte just was crumpled in the ring. Fantastic segment. Really drove home that Becky is completely gone. She is now completely evil, whatever you want to call her, 316 Becky.
I don't know do, though, because the crowd loves it and I love it.
They do.
That's kind of the irony of the whole thing, and I think the 316 part of it is kind of, it's the reminder of kind of what happened with Stone Cold. Yes, he turned on the locker room, but everybody loved it because he's right.
Because of the attitude, the attitude that Stone Cold had while he did it too.
Yes,
he was just too badass to not like, right? And that's kind of why we're feeling that from Becky, is even though the commentary is still playing it as though she were a tried and true blue heel, right? You've got both of the face commentators saying, this is wildly uncomfortable. We can't believe Becky's doing this. And you've got Corey Graves, the heel commentator, going, I totally understand what Becky's doing. This is the right thing, right? Standard dynamic. While you have that going on, and everything's being played as though Becky were the heel in this, even though WWE has come out and said, okay, we're going to just play this in areas, in shades of gray, and let the fans decide what they will. I still feel like their thumb is on the side of the scale that is like, we wanted her to be a heel, and by God, we're going to make her a heel, even if it's slowly but surely, we're going to get you to boo her. I don't know.
Yeah, Road Dogg, I got 2 words for you. Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. Or it's either that, or they're going to kill whatever fire she has, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to dampen it down if they try too hard to push her in that heel direction. Yep. You've got to have her have enough badassery as part of her heel persona to drive that, like, to get into that tunnel, to stick to that line.
It's there right now. They could even ramp it. She could ramp it up even more. But I feel it's kind of the general consensus that they're going to F it up somehow. They're just going to make a mess of it, of the whole thing. So I don't know what to think about the future of this. I'm hoping that they just let it ride and let it happen just organically. But we know that they don't have a good reputation of doing that because they want to be in control of everything that's going on. Yeah.
Here's the thing is that I'm worried because I do feel like there's a bit of hurt pride here. You know,
for who?
Well, Road Dogg, when he went, the booker of SmackDown Live.
Sure.
When he came out on Twitter and said essentially that the fans got it wrong. They told us, we told a story here on SmackDown Live, and you cheering Becky isn't a sign that we told it wrong. It's a sign that you guys misinterpreted what we were trying to tell you. We didn't want you to cheer. We wanted you to boo, but you didn't do that. He was invested in the story that he was telling, that he thought his team was telling, right?
Get the F over yourself. That's what I would say.
This is the problem. Yeah. This has been an ongoing issue with WWE, is this sort of pride and stubbornness that probably comes down from the top, comes down from Vince McMahon himself, who obviously, if you look at Roman Reigns, he refuses, or the XFL, for God's sake, he refuses to let things go.
Right.
Did I fail on this? Did this turn out in a way I didn't plan or didn't have any control over? Then I want to change that because it didn't go the way I wanted it to. But by God, in the end, I'm going to get my way. So you guys may not be booing Becky Lynch right now, but I'm going to slowly change her until you finally do boo her, instead of taking a step back and going, okay, maybe I didn't do that right, but how can I get the best ending out of this? How can I make the most money off of this? Okay. If you want to look at it from a corporate standpoint, because WWE is a corporation and they're out for money.
Yeah, how do you monetize it?
They're trying to pay their shareholders, do what's best for their shareholders. And if you're doing what's best for your shareholders, you make Becky a tweener heel right now.
Full disclosure, I am a shareholder. I own stock in WWE, and I am not happy with the fact that they are continuing to just bungle many of these angles over and over again. But as long as Vince McMahon still owns 80% of the plus of the company, it doesn't matter what you think. It's just not going to matter ever until he steps aside. It's that simple.
Which it could be as early as next year if the rumors are to be believed about the XFL and him going off and doing that, and Triple H's team taking over. Could be. Moving on, we did talk earlier about Daniel Bryan and The Miz.
Yes.
The show did start out, I believe, with The Miz this week.
Yeah, it opened with Miz TV.
Miz TV with his
very special guest this week.
Special guest.
That he had to call in so many favors for. Yes. Maurice. Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Maurice.
Nice little heel move there. So he interviewed his own wife on Miz TV. And basically the whole point was running down Daniel and Bree's marriage and then saying how great their marriage was, but that it was also Maurice's last night on SmackDown because she has to go be Mother of the Year to their kid. And Daniel Bryan came out because they were talking too much smack. He said, "You talking about my wife? That's where I draw the line." gets in there, tries to attack Miz. He ends up falling into Maurice, who acts injured, but then is not injured. And then Daniel Bryan it goes back and forth. Basically, Bryan stands tall. Miz and Maurice walk away, kind of having got a little bit over on Daniel Bryan. Afterwards, he calls them both. Daniel calls them both a coward, and the match is back on. Miz does announce this match in Australia. He and Daniel Bryan are going to have a one-on-one match. Winner is going to get a shot at the title, whether that's AJ or Samoa Joe. Here's what I took away from this.
Okay. Mixed match challenge.
Total Divas and mixed match challenge are out. We don't have to promote them anymore, so the wives can go away. Great. That's kind of what I wanted. But here's the problem. I feel like the feud's cooled off now. Like having the wives be involved, it cooled off what was such a hot feud going into it. I'm not as excited for Miz versus Daniel Bryan. It's just they've got to do something in the next 2 weeks to get me reinvested in those two having some direct
I think
beef.
they blew their wad. They had such a good video package put together for those guys, telling the story to history of coming up through Tough Enough and NXT and all of that stuff, leading to this big feud 8 years in the making of the I'm better than you, no I'm better than you, all of that. I think they did a fantastic job building up to that first kind of feud that we had between them, and all of the stuff going all the way back to talking smack, punch you in the mouth, all of that stuff.
The very first match that they had, where they had that really long package detailing the 7 years or whatever it was of history, was, oh man, yeah, I was all in. I was loving that.
Yep.
Now I'm kind of like, okay.
I thought all of this was just building stuff for Mixed Match Challenge and Total Divas. Anyway, I'm with you. I've kind of cooled off on it. The first match was kind of for me anyway, so I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It was meh because it had a fluff ending with the Nux, right? With the
oh yeah.
It wasn't a clean ending. It wasn't a clean finish, so it made you want to see more. And now Miz has won the last two.
Well, here's what I want to say about this. Going all the way back to Superstar Shakeup when Miz left the Miztourage and came over to SmackDown Live, I remember specifically saying that they were so high on Miz that they were going to give him a title shot. And it's taken months and months to get here, but I think I've been high on Samoa Joe and been high on Shinsuke for the most of the year, but they might pull the trigger on Miz here. It's very realistic possibility that he has done so well over the last couple of years with the Intercontinental title and getting himself over and all of that stuff, doing such good work. He's a perfect kind of heel character to go up against AJ Styles to fight for that. And it's very possible that he slinks one out and becomes just kind of that chicken shit heel champ that we have for a long time in between the AJ Styleses of the world.
I don't know if he's going to take the title, but I could see him getting the title shot. That being said, I would be disappointed if either he or Daniel win this match. And that's because if Miz wins it, I'm going to go, well, so Daniel's just another guy. Now,
I think he is now.
Which is mind-blowing. How do you bring Daniel Bryan back after 3 years and have him be just a guy?
Yep.
Shinsuke Nakamura, he came in like a god. Now he's just a guy.
Well, he's the U.S. champ that nobody gives a shit about.
Right. It's mind-blowing.
You trivialized all the titles except for the two.
But at the same time, I think Miz should get a title shot because his work rate and what he's doing on TV has absolutely earned it, and he would be a fantastic heel champ as he was with the IC title. So, oh man, either way, I'm really torn on this. So that's probably the only thing that's going to get me invested in this match.
Yeah.
Speaking of the title, AJ Styles, your champion, had a baller match with Andrade Cien Almas, who, by the way, his stock is obviously rising backstage. The fact he's been given so much TV time recently, and even though he ended up losing clean to AJ here, it was a real grueling match, and it made him look like $1 million. It looked like he took it to AJ, and only because AJ is as good as he is, was he able to beat Andrade. With this incredible roll up. I mean, well, let's see. AJ flipped over on top of Andrade and then unflipped himself and turned it into a Styles clash for the finish. It was just gorgeous to watch.
This match was nuts, and I can't believe they're giving them away right now. But I do see it as like week to week kind of work for Andrade to, I don't want to say prove himself, but does he need to prove himself? Maybe to the casual WWE audience that doesn't see anything but Raw and SmackDown every week. Yes,
you got to prove yourself to the guys backstage. It's called called consistency. You can't go out and have one good match and have people backstage be like, "Cool, let's give him everything." No, you got to go out there and do it over and over and over again. So they did. They gave him Daniel Bryan. They gave him AJ Styles a couple of times. Andrade at this point has shown them on the main roster on their bigger stage than NXT in that schedule. Yeah, I can go out there and show up time and time and time again. And he's got the whole package. Him and Zelina is fantastic. The only one small possible drawback is his trouble with the language. That's what Zelina's for. All right. They've worked through harder things before. So
Have they though?
Yeah.
And look at what's happened with Oscar.
Give him Paul Heyman.
That's such a high pitched voice.
And that's the top. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Brock Lesnar, I'm gonna kill you. So anyway, you're gonna tell. I better stop talking about him. He's gonna find me. This is the thing. Okay, Andrade looking great. I think he's got the whole package. Zelina is a great mouthpiece for him, so he could go a long way. And this is showing that they believe in him. And especially because this match, they let him look really strong against AJ. The fact that they let this go to a finish instead of having it be like a muddled finish, they gave us a whole match here. And it wasn't until after the match that Samoa Joe came out, beat up AJ a little bit, and then ran away. So that feud's going to continue. And it's all about them being vicious to each other, about beating each other up now, it seems, and not about Wendy and AJ's family. Now we're on to Joe feels like he should be the champion because AJ tapped out, which, by the way, I'm just going to throw this out there. That's way more of a ref missed a big thing than Brock Lesnar hitting the ground second.
Completely agree.
You know what I mean? Roman was bitching about that for months on TV, and Joe has kind of mentioned it once, like, yeah, I should be champ, but oh well, I'll just go beat him up and take it from him. All right, I'm loving that.
Yeah. No, I don't know what they're going to do to get out of it. They haven't really made mention of it again since, but I don't think it's a thing anymore. I like getting away from the family stuff. I think it was cool. It ran its course. Him writing and reading a children's book about AJ Styles and his becoming the new dad was fantastic for me. That was the culmination of that whole thing.
I can't believe he pulled that off.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
I can't believe he pulled that off.
It could have been an absolute train wreck. But, of course, he pulled it off because he's Samoa Joe.
Speaking of train wrecks, we've got to talk about what happened to Rusev Day. So this we suspected this might be on its way. We suspected this was going to happen before, but then they reconciled and got back together and got a title shot, the tag team title shot. This week, Rusev told Aiden to stay in the back one more time because he screwed up their tag team title shot. I'm going to go out and have my U.S. title match, he says, against Shinsuke Nakamura. You're going to stay back here. And Aiden turns to a producer and just starts going off on Lana and how Lana's the real problem with Rusev Day, and she's dragging everybody down, and she's standing right behind me, isn't she? And he turns around, and sure enough, she's right there, giving him the death glare.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yes, please.
He's right.
You're not saying that as an English mark, are you?
Me? No. He's right. I think it's because before Lana ever got there, this was a lot of fun. And it has turned into all about Lana again.
Dude.
And
But here's the thing. If Lana is the problem, that's going to be another. Okay, let's get through this segment and then we'll come back and talk about that. Yep. So basically, Lana's like, I'm going to go tell Rusev. She tries to tell him, but Rusev's I'm too in my head for this match. I have to be ready for this match. And he goes like he's going to walk out, and Aiden and Lana have to kind of both follow him, giving each other the eyes the entire time. And he says, Aiden, wouldn't you do the honors? And Aiden's like, yeah, I guess. I will. Okay. Runs out there and gives the Rusev Day entrance with all this extra passion and like extra kind of nervousness. And then we have the match with Shinsuke, which was a great match. And the whole time, Aiden's at the ringside trying to overcompensate. And Lana's giving him the eyes. And they're having this nice little dynamic at ringside. And at the end, Aiden jumps up on the ring apron and yells, yeah, Rusev, crush. And Rusev, in the middle of beating down Shinsuke, gets distracted.
Turns around and goes, what are you doing?
What are you doing, dude? Shinsuke gets the roll up and wins 1, 2, 3. Afterwards, Aiden loses his mind, beats the crap out of Rusev with the microphone, stands up, and very sadly says, Happy Rusev Day, sings it a little bit, throws down the mic and leaves as Lana screams at him. I was shocked at how emotional this was. And I really do. You were saying, now let's get back to what you were saying before about Lana.
Yep.
If it is Lana that is holding them down and they want to go with that angle, they could go with that because of how good of an actress CJ Parker, Lana is in this, and Aiden. Like Rusev is he's fun. he's a very good, stoic character, and he's playing it almost a little bit campy. Now he's a super athlete, and I'm going to go win the match.
Yes.
Or he's being a little campy about it. And I like that. I like that dynamic. But then Aiden and Lana are playing it dead straight, and they're doing it so wonderfully. Some of the best acting on the main roster.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
As far as quote-unquote realistic acting gets.
Sure.
But it was still, I was very invested. Like the look that Lana gave him when he turned around and she was standing there looking at him, that combination of just hurt and fury was, I thought was really taken in by it. And just the dynamic they had during the match and the way that Aiden looked when he threw down the mic at Rusev and the way that Lana was just shaking behind him, screaming at him to get out. They got me. I was totally invested.
I wish I had heard somebody describe The Walking Dead to me like that before, because I've never heard it. That's pretty impassioned over there, man. That's you make me want to go watch it again. No, I felt a lot of the same emotions. Everything was fine until Lana came back, but I agree with you that dynamic between the two of them. Hopefully this continues. Hopefully it's not a just kick Aiden to the curb kind of thing, or
that Aiden is able to get like evil enough, dastardly enough to be a legit heel to Rusev, right? If he's able, because if there's still
just beat the shit out of him with a microphone,
but he's conflicted still, right?
Yeah,
isn't he?
Of course.
And I like a little bit of that conflict. You're not going to beat the super athlete with a conflicted heart, Aiden. You're not.
Or a microphone,
or well, with a microphone you can obviously, yeah. but yeah, this has the potential to be a really fantastic feud with a lot of layers of complexity.
It was kind of symbolic that the Rusev Day mic flag broke off of the microphone.
Oh, it was completely symbolic. Yeah.
And that was such a metaphor. Like if they follow through with this, they could use that in a slow motion cut in a video package of it just exploding off of the mic. Anyway, I'm getting beside myself. We got to keep going here.
Let's keep rolling.
Yeah. I can talk about Rusev Day all day.
Fantastic segment. Let's see where they go. It was a little bit of a bummer that Shinsuke was a sort of a prop in this whole story.
Right.
He was just kind of there.
I mean, he's just the U.S. champ.
And he vanished. He teleported out of the ring at the end of the match. But the bottom line is, okay, we thought this was where they're going to go with Rusev Day. They pulled the trigger. They finally pulled the trigger on it. Let's hope this isn't another Sasha Bailey. And that this is more of a Becky Charlotte.
I don't think it's going to be another Becky Charlotte. Just saying.
Okay.
Next up, we had Kofi facing off against Cesaro in a typical kind of singles tag match.
Fine match. They made fun of Cesaro's areolas. That was the takeaway for me. It's a build toward. It's another typical tag team build where we had the singles matches.
Yep.
Going to Super Showdown. So it was what it was.
Cesaro does get the win. Pretty clean over Kofi Kingston.
Yeah, which means that next week the New Day will beat Sheamus, and then et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
Fine, we've seen New Day bar a lot, and I like both teams a lot, but we are retreading ground. They need to find something new.
We're just recycling the same shit that we've seen for the last 2 years.
They've got to find something new with it.
Yep. This is why I don't want to see this happen on SmackDown Live too, because this is what ran the Raw tag division into the ground.
No, these guys look way stronger than the Raw tag team division.
I know, but these tactics of just recycling and regurgitating the same guys and the same feuds.
I mean, to be fair, they're having a bit of a problem because they didn't expect the Bludgeon Brothers for Rowan to get injured, right? So they thought they had a little bit more. So they're just winging it a little bit.
Where's
I think.
Luke Harper, by the way?
In NXT, I don't know.
Oh God,
he had that NXT match against Ricochet. Remember?
Oh yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Asuka had a match against Billie Kay and basically just murdered her.
Well, she took a typical babyface beat down for the first 2/3 of the match, and then just hulked up and Asuka locked 1, 2, 3 done, or tap out done. Yeah. But I did like the fact that she was still sold as somebody who could kill you on a whim. At the same time, I don't like the fact she's being teamed with Naomi because it does depower her and make her seem more of a silly cartoon character. And I'm sorry, but the just diabolical, insane, kill you Asuka from NXT is still far more interesting to me.
Yes.
Than I'm kind of a goofy, fun chick. Like, look at me and Naomi. We do the same moves now. We can both pet our jackets and dance backstage together.
No, Charlotte was twerking with her on Mixed Match Challenge.
That was
we'll
fun.
talk about it.
Mixed Match Challenge is the place to have fun.
Exactly. That's
not
the place to do
Smackdown.
It. Not here.
Right.
Last but certainly not least, Randy Orton seems to be. Is he getting into this new character? What is he up to?
I'm sorry. I was laughing through this entire Randy Orton segment because it was him in the production truck, and the producer back in the truck was trying to put together some footage for him And Randy just leans in and is like, is my stuff ready yet? Because you know what happens when you make me upset. And he starts giving him like this shoulder massage that just gets way uncomfortable and like gets right in his ear. And the entire time I'm just thinking like, oh God, he's going to whip his dick out and put it on him.
Ew, no.
Randy, no. Why?
He's going to pull his hand out of his trunks and just be like, you
don't want to shake Randy Orton's hand?
You should move the knob over there and just, I got chill bumps. Oh, no.
Touch my knob.
No.
Touch Orton's knob.
No Orton knob touching. Who's up next for Orton now that Jeff's out?
I don't know, but the whole point of this segment was for Orton to gloat over destroying Jeff as he had this producer pull up all the footage of Jeff and put in the screwdriver in Jeff's ear and all the other horrible stuff he did to him in Hell in a Cell.
It looked very much like our cover that we used for the Hell in a Cell recap.
Yeah, well, I didn't know if you know this, but Randy Orton is actually our intern. And he's the one who's doing the...
We're supposed to tell people that.
Oh, sorry.
Jesus Christ, man.
Sorry. Yeah, he's doing a community service because of some of his backstage antics.
Okay. Great that we got him.
We're paying him in jobbers.
Right.
But no, so I don't know who's next for him.
Paying him in jobbers? Yes.
You know, he loves abusing them. It's just it's a sickness that he has. He loves making them touch his little viper. But anyway, so Randy Orton is... We don't know who he's going for next. But what he was saying in this is he was giving his mission statement, if you will, which is I'm going to destroy everyone in my path, and whoever's next, I'm going to destroy them the same way I destroyed Jeff Hardy. All right, cool. I don't know who they've got that he can destroy, who's a face on SmackDown.
Daniel Bryan.
He's still in a thing with The Miz. If he loses to Miz and then you have Orton, Daniel Bryan, I could be into that.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good program.
I mean, we've seen it before.
I'll watch it again, especially this Randy Orton. Like, this is good. This is the good, slimy, super evil Randy Orton we haven't had in a long time. Yeah. And this is best Randy Orton. Let's not forget, because it's the closest to what he actually seems to be like. Of course, it's not. Everyone seems to love him backstage, except for the writers.
Yes.
Yeah. Or you know, there's also
the production truck crew.
There's a rumor there's a rumor Jeff's coming back, by the way. That wasn't all for Jeff.
So he's not having back surgery or any of that kind of stuff.
Who knows with Jeff? You know what I mean? We thought he was out months ago.
Yeah.
And he went and had a Hell in a Cell match.
Of course he did.
Good grief.
Oh, well. Well, guys, that's it for the main roster of everything that went down this week in the WWE, but we're not done. We've got to head over and talk about everything else that happened in the wide world of wrestling.
Well, starting off, we got to head over to NXT, which was a decent show this week with a monster, arguably one of the top matches of the year for WWE.
You're talking about Riker.
Main event. No, I'm not talking about Riker.
Oh, because that dude's a monster.
He was terrifying. We'll get to him. Started off with a tag match, a female tag match, women's tag match, Dakota Kai and Deonna Purrazzo versus Lacey Evans and Aaliyah. Aaliyah, by the way... Every time I see her, she immediately has heat with me. I just immediately, I'm like, oh, that chick. And then she starts working. I'm like, oh, wow, she has gotten better, hasn't she?
Yeah.
You know, she's working me, brother.
She's getting there.
But she's getting there. Lacey Evans obviously still was the showcase this match. And Dakota Kai, by the way.
Yeah.
And Deonna Purrazzo. It was a good match. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
It was a good match. It was well worked, good storytelling. Lacey Evans is so invested in her character and is so talented, and she did pick up the win here.
Rocket's strapped to her, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, she ended up doing a trick tag in and sneaked up women's right 1, 2, 3 on Dakota Kai
with a busted wing. She had a left. I think she was selling the left.
She was selling the left arm, but the right arm still works.
Oh yeah, they built that up throughout the match.
But I'm curious where this goes from here. Like if we have some mini feuds between these women, or if this was just a one-off.
The Street Profits had a little, I don't know if it was an interview or just a video package. They were on a basketball court or somewhere with lightning going off in the background. I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. But they get a lot of storms.
Like the thunderstorms down in Florida.
Yep. This was really cool. Apparently are they challenging the Mighty officially? They say they want their chains back. They got their necklaces or their gold chains that they want back from the Mighty. I didn't know the Mighty had stolen anything from them.
Yeah, you remember that the NXT episode where they came in and stole the chains, and that was how they distracted them and they got beat.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
I missed that somewhere. Anyway. So I guess we're gonna continue the feud between the Street Profits and the Mighty, which I am not mad at. I enjoy both of those teams. The investigation into who done it who hit Aleister Black continued on this week. This time with Candice LeRae getting interviewed by Mr. Regal.
Yeah, and had no good alibi for her husband.
No,
and I did go on record as saying I believe Johnny will be revealed as the one who beat up Aleister.
Okay. And she tried to point all the fingers towards Tommaso Ciampa, obviously.
As you would. Right. In any Agatha Christie novel. Yeah. Never the one, it's always the one you least expect.
So, well, you said it's always the first one you see leaving the scene. Isn't that what you said?
Well, which would mean it was William Regal.
No. It was when he was coming out the door.
I know. I'm just saying, like, William Regal would be the least likely.
What if William Regal actually did it? Oh my God! I haven't even considered that.
Am I blowing your mind?
Boom!
Am I blowing your mind?
Oh my God!
No, it's absolutely. I'm still convinced it's Johnny Gargano.
Is His Highness getting back in the ring?
He did have the brass knucks on the desk there. I mean, if you want to take out a guy real quick, all you need is a set of brass knucks. I'm just saying. As you were saying, Jackson Riker of the Forgotten Sons faction had his first official match on NXT this week, facing off against Humberto Carrillo, who was a guy I'd never seen before. Good-looking kid, 22 years old, I guess. Got a nice presence.
Yep.
Dimples deeper than the Mariana Trench. And but you know, it looked like he didn't really get a whole lot of offense in. He had a hope spot at the one point where it looked like he was going to do a crossbody off the top, and Jackson just shoved him to the ground in the midair. Jackson's a monster. He was in TNA before.
Yeah, I slept on this guy, to be honest with you. This is my first real exposure to Riker, and I got to tell you guys, I'm getting full package vibes off of this guy, from the entrance to the music to his little bit of in-ring ability I've seen of him. I've not seen a lot of this guy's work in TNA, so holy smokes, that dude's got the look.
It's funny because he still has a little bit of that TNA look to him, but he's scragglied himself up a little bit, and he's got the crazy look in his eyes now. He looks like just, he's done some good work on himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He looks like if they injected a member of Sanity with some serious roids and like when we were watching the Forgotten Sons match a week or two ago, whatever it was, who's that guy? He's got that breakaway star factor. Yep. Yes, he does.
Let's
talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
So I actually looked at the time on this episode of NXT, as I normally do. I wanted to see how much time they were going to give them, and it was 27 minutes.
Yeah, they gave him a long
full
time.
30 minutes for this match, and I got really excited because I was like, oh, great.
Yeah. This main event, it was Ricochet versus Pete Dunne, the North American champion versus the UK champion. Obviously, Ricochet just winning the North American Championship recently at the last takeover, and Pete Dunne has been UK champ for over like a year and a half.
It's like 440 days or something like that.
Forever. He's been the UK champ. And this is the first time we've ever had a champion versus champion match. And as we were saying over the last couple of weeks, we didn't think there was any way that they could have this match and have one of them conclusively win. You can't have Ricochet be the UK champ when they're about to start a UK division.
Right.
You can't have Pete Dunne be the North American champ when they've just done so much to build up this belt. And there's so many other people who could have it. Why put it on Pete Dunne, who's already got a championship? It made no sense.
I did catch one thing in the commentary this week that I thought was really funny and ironic in a weird way. It was Morrow saying that he's Canadian. Now, there was an argument going back and forth amongst the commentary where they were saying, well, I want so-and-so to win because of X, Y, Z.
How would you feel if the UK champ was representing North America?
I don't care, I'm Canadian.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but
that's North America.
But, hey, my head exploded.
Yeah.
that was funny.
Yeah.
But but this match was anything but. It was absolutely lights out. Like, we thought it was going to be a good match. Oh man. It started off with some just 10 minutes of absolutely amazing mat wrestling. Mostly Pete Dunne working, but Ricochet also doing some fantastic
countering out a lot of his stuff. Yeah,
he definitely did his own work in there too. But this is Pete Dunne's wheelhouse, this kind of stuff. And Ricochet's a great guy to work on, and actually did some really good selling here, which Ricochet doesn't get enough credit for. He gets actually kind of talked down to a lot about his selling. He sold fantastically throughout this entire match.
He can do no wrong in my eyes.
But he, as you say, as wearing a King Ricochet shirt over there. So it started off really nice and slow on the mat, and then it just slowly, perfectly built up into just an absolute barn burner. False finishes, huge moves, huge reversals, just great psychology. It felt like a true champion versus champion match.
It's like two gladiators in the arena, just
two guys at the top of their game, two championship,
in a way, right? Yeah.
Right. And where they're both just such badass dudes. Neither of them is going to lie down easily for the other guy. You're going to have to actually kill the other guy.
And if they could have continued this, and I hope it's not the last time we see these two in the ring together, because this reminded me of some of like the once Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in NXT kind of developed, and you were getting the apron power bombs and the stuff out on the commentary table and all, it reminded me that this could get to that level of viciousness in a way that where they could be doing these, because we saw Pete Dunne doing X-plexes out on the apron. We saw a lot. We didn't get a 640 out of Ricochet because of what ultimately happened.
Yeah,
sure.
We did a 450 into a couple of knees though.
Oh, he
missed it entirely, I believe. Actually, Pete rolled out of the way of the 450.
Yep, but he did do the standing shooting star press, which was
the standing
just
moonsault.
beautiful.
I mean, he pulled out a lot of his tricks, and we've seen Pete Dunne do a lot of the things he did in this match before, but some of them were counters and some of them were done in the perfect place in the match. And it was both of them working each other's style a little bit and then working their own style into it and making each other look like absolute gold. You know what I mean? This was absolutely a match where both guys came out looking even better than they did going in, which is, of course, what you want when you're in a developmental, which I have a hard time calling NXT developmental anymore, where guys are already there who are on this level, right? The only thing keeping this match from being perfect, the one thing is the thing that we knew had to happen, and that was there could not be a definitive finish, right?
And it was more of a question of who was going to interrupt
who and how.
How are we going to get Alistair coming out and kind of...
That was my thought.
Unleashing hell on the entire locker room for somebody ambushing him.
Sure.
That's kind of what I thought, maybe.
That's what I'd postulated, was that we're going to get out of this by by Alistair coming out, annihilating these guys, and then we're going to start on the whole Alistair's killing the locker room angle. Nope. It was just Undisputed Era coming out for almost no reason.
Well, I mean, Adam Cole and Ricochet have history,
and so does Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong.
Sure,
fine, but it was still. And then War Raiders chased off Undisputed Era, and then both Ricochet and Pete Dunne grabbed their titles and kind of stared at each other, and that was it. That was the show, and it was man, we knew it had to happen, but it was still it just sucked out all the energy of the match so quick. And it was so disappointing, even though we knew it had to happen, and they had booked themselves into, how else could they have gotten out of this match other than one of these messy finishes?
No, they couldn't have.
They couldn't. They booked themselves into a corner, which is too bad because they had all these stakes for this match that made the match more exciting. But the problem is the stakes also caused the match to have this horrible finish. And the only other way that I've been able to think of that they could have pulled this off is if they somehow introduced time limits, which virtually every other wrestling organization does. Yeah. Because if this goes to a draw, that's a good finish, right? A 30-minute time limit draw on this match, and both guys,
There's other options. I mean, you could have had Pete Dunne win the North American Championship and then have Adam Cole come back up and challenge it to get it back. There's ways. I meant
on this show for this match.
Oh, I mean, I think they could have had a clean finish on this. I think there's a small part of me that goes, they could have done it and then just booked around it.
How do you put one of these guys over the other one, though?
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
It's rough. It's really rough.
I think Ricochet could not have eaten the loss. Pete Dunne probably could have.
I don't think he could have after the legacy he's built, and then he's going to give that to somebody in the UK division.
Yeah, but then Kirk Gibson comes up and gets it back from Ricochet, and they takes it back. So there's ways to get out of that stuff. I didn't want either of these guys to win going in. I agree with you completely.
I didn't want either one of these guys to lose.
Well, fine. They just, that's more of a more salient point. But it's how do we get out of that? I think they really booked themselves into a kind of a corner there, and I would have liked to have seen it be somebody like an Aleister Black, like a Lars Sullivan, like something else that has a reason for being out there. Just Undisputed Era coming out and just being dicks for the sake of being dicks was...
There was history, but it felt random, right? It felt random.
Yeah.
It did, even though it had the most relevant history.
I was like legitimately going... I just went, oh, man... God damn it.
I know, we knew it had to happen.
Son of a bitch.
And it happened right when it should have happened. It was still it was such a good match. Anyway, it was so good we had to just sit on and talk about it for this long. It was fantastic. NXT next week, Lars Sullivan is returning. We don't know in what capacity.
It's going to be a big week for Nick.
For
next
you
week.
And your boy Otis Dozovic is getting a title shot against Tommaso Ciampa. So
stakes and weights.
Big one for you next week.
And Lars. Lars and Otis.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All I know is coming away from NXT this week, the one thing I did learn was never let your hand within 5 feet of Pete Dunne. He just is obsessed with hands.
He likes fingers.
He likes playing with your fingers.
All right, moving on. We got to
note,
talk about 205 Live this week now. So the big news is part of the big news, kind of the big news. 205 Live has now been moved to Wednesdays.
Yeah, so it's no longer it's 205 sort of live.
So to me that doesn't matter. But they're taping it before SmackDown Live to try to get a more hyped up audience. But
it worked.
Yes, it did. But I thought they were going to merge it into NXT. It doesn't appear that that's going to be the case.
Not yet, but then again, we don't know if this is the end of the changes that they're going to make.
Like, is the 205 brand going to go away completely and they're just going to have a cruiserweight division within NXT?
Or are they just
That's kind of what I took away from what Triple H had to say.
Yeah, or are they going to, is it a slow transition and there's more changes going to happen, or are they going to put it here and see how it works, and then if it doesn't work after a few months, do something else?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Run some things at the flagpole and see who salutes. Frankly, the big problem here was they didn't tell the audience, hey, 205 Lives before the show, get here early, and the crowd was filtering in as it was going on.
Oh,
I think if you promoted, hey, we're doing 205 Live before the show, you'd get more people in there, and everyone's got all the energy, and you could tell from this crowd, especially in the main event, that they were able to get the crowd into the show. The main event of the show was one of the more hyped I've seen a 205 Live crowd. So something about it's definitely working.
Okay.
You know, so I think it was a good idea so far. On this show, we did have TJP versus Lince Dorado. TJP does the ultimate heel move and pulls off Lince Dorado's mask for a schoolboy roll up.
Dick.
1, 2, 3. Total dick move. That being said, Lince did get a nice big slap on him before that. I mean, I don't know if you saw his chest, but TJP he looked like the Cruiserweight Classic again. He just had a huge bruise up high on his pec.
Ugh.
Those lucha guys love just laying into him. But I think
chops.
I think this is heading into TJP, Tony Nese, and Buddy Murphy versus Lucha House Party. They needed a third guy for the heels. I think that's where they're going with this.
Gotcha.
We had a backstage bit where Leo Rush was saying he couldn't compete this week because he's too busy on Monday Night Raw. Drake Maverick told him that, well, that's tough. I'm able to do my stuff on Monday. If I can do it, you can do it. So sorry, yeah, next week you're going to have a match. And let's see, we also had Hideo Itami and Mustafa Ali heading to another match next week now that Ali is cleared. Last time, as you might recall, Hideo Itami put him in the hospital.
Yes.
Whether in kayfabe or not, we still don't know what happened.
We still don't know what was wrong. It was just him sitting on a hospital bed.
Yeah, that was. We never said what exactly happened. The main event, Drew Gulak finally getting his title shot again against Cedric Alexander. This was another fantastic match.
It was the one that I think we've either saw coming or have wanted ever since kind of Cedric got the belt. I mean, we got past the Mustafa Ali matches and all that stuff. This is the one we thought, and it makes sense not to do it here, but allow the feud to continue. But I think eventually that belt goes on Drew Gulak, inevitably. It's just a matter of when, not if.
You don't think that Buddy Murphy takes it in Australia?
No, I don't. I do not. I think it's Gulak has earned it, and I think he's more of a character than Buddy Murphy, and I think that's what they really need after kind of the bland jar of mayonnaise that is Cedric Alexander. We now need a little bit of spice and somebody that's just kind of.
Did you just call your boy Cedric
bleh.
Wow,
yeah,
you've turned on Cedric.
He's a great in-ring performer.
Wow,
he has the personality of a jar of mayonnaise.
Did you?
I'm just being
he tries,
honest,
man.
I'm just being honest.
He's the soul of 205 Live, though, Nick. He's got lots of soul.
He's about as much soul as
Did
Mustafa
you see
Ali is
some
the
of the moves that happened in this match?
I did.
Oh my God!
It was a fantastic match, and I take nothing away from Cedric as an in-ring performer. We've said this many, many times about title holders, regardless of what roster or promotion they were on, that have zero personality, and it just does not translate.
But is this another case of Roderick Strong, where if Cedric went heel, he can have personality? They just can't book baby faces.
Maybe.
You know,
I can't imagine sweet old little smiley Cedric.
He's had a little bit of an edge a couple of times.
Okay. I think they kept him face while Rich Swann was still around, but it'd be interesting to see if they flipped him.
I don't know. He's more like yellow mustard to me. Where he's got a little bit of spice to him. He's really good on hot dogs. I don't even know what that means. I don't even.
Wow!
I don't even know what that means.
Let's get out of here before we get into phallic references even
That's all
more.
you, buddy. All right. Mae Young Classic. The Mae Young Classic. Moving away as far away from the phallic stuff as possible.
This was the best episode of the Mae Young Classic so far.
Wow.
Loved every single one of these matches.
Wow. Yep. I would still say the first episode was better, but this was a damn good episode.
No, listen, we could argue about that all day. We had the return of Caitlyn. We had the return of Kavita Devi.
Always feels real, if that makes sense.
Well, she's also got the size and the build to make them look like they're hurting bombs.
Dude.
That kind of just, it doesn't, they might not look like Cinder or a ballerina doing graceful stuff, but by God, they look like they hurt.
And Caitlyn, I forgot how jacked that girl is. Like
she looks fantastic.
She looks more jacked than she was before, but yet still has, her look is fantastic. You know what I mean? Like, and her versus Kavita Devi was just like a couple of bulls, like a couple of female, like, just going at it. It was a really fun match. It wasn't like the technical masterpiece you've gotten out of some of these, but they was very entertained by this match.
Yep.
And I thought both girls did a fantastic job.
Caitlyn does go over Kavita Devi on her.
Shows back up and has a match against Ginny from the UK from Progress.
These girls have a history, so I think there's an essence of it looking like they're just going through the motions. Because they have spent so much time working together, you would think it'd be the opposite. That they would amp it up even more because they have spent so much time together. But I think when you get so much repetition in, it just becomes mechanical. So there was like the whole first 2/3 of this match was really just, I put in the notes here, it looked like Tony was kind of phoning it in. Yeah. We've seen her, like last year, the Piper Niven match was one that stood out with Toni Storm for me. That was just a killer match. I just don't think in the first round she might be saving it.
Yeah, her versus Shayna Baszler in the UK tournament was just money. This definitely, it felt like she was holding back.
Oh yeah,
it felt like she was holding back, and it was kind of too bad. She didn't really whip out any big moves till the end
until she snapped German suplexed Jenny, folded her in half, and just absolutely murdered her. And then she did the running butt thing that the Usos do. I can't remember what she calls it, but it's a matter of just after that it was all over.
Yeah, so, I think there's more we'll see out of her. I'm not going to judge her tournament based on this, but it is too bad because I think that everybody else is going all out for all these matches, and I don't know why. I don't know. It could just be our perception. We've seen some Toni Storm matches, and this was not her greatest match.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, we know the level at which she can compete. This was not it, but still not a bad match by any stretch. Also, a match that I was surprised how much I liked was Xia Li versus Karen Q.
This was so much fun.
It really was. This for me was really not a good technical match.
No,
it really wasn't. You could see how green Xia Li was. Karen Q does have a little bit more in-ring experience, and I remember her from TNA being pretty good. But this was more, I thought, about the storytelling and the character work.
Yeah. You know, the whole introduction of them putting up hands like in a karate stance or something like that.
Even before
everybody
before they got into that, like exactly, like it was going to be a kung fu match, and they both got into their stances before they attached each other, and the audience was like, "What?" Yeah. I'm taking this back to Xia Li. Like Karen Q comes out, she gets some respectful applause, people cheering for her. Okay, they recognize her. Right? Xia Li has had with this. I think it was on the top of the ramp and did a whole like kata moveset. I don't even know what you would call it. Right. A little showcase of her
ninja skills.
Well, sure,
right?
her martial arts skill, like a little martial arts show off, right? Yeah. And the audience was like, "Whoa!" And then she started playing to the audience and like clapping along with her music and going, "Yeah, come on!" Gets in the ring, does another little show off, and the audience was immediately like, "Okay, wow, that was cool. That was really cool." So by the time they got to that kung fu, getting in their poses opposite each other in the ring, the audience was built up. And now they're like, "Whoa, wow, this is going to be cool."
Is this an MMA match? What did I sign up for? Is it Muay Thai boxing match?
Right. Well, and they had a couple. So the two of them then had a couple of engagements, which then broke off. They fought each other, and then Karen Q went to the heel tactics, and she started doing the whole like bowing disrespectfully to Xia Li when Xia Li was down, and now we have the heel and the face dynamic, and the way that it was introduced, and the audience says, oh, "Okay, now we know who to root for and who to root against."
Yep.
And then Karen Q worked heel for most of the match until Xia Li had a comeback, hit a beautiful, like I don't even know what you would call it, like a cartwheel guillotine kick.
Yeah, something like that.
A windmill kick, I guess, onto the back of Karen Q for the 1-2-3 for the win. And this was a match that I thought outperformed the actual technical moves that were pulled off in it.
Oh, sure. It outperformed my expectations of it. So I was familiar with Karen Q. I had no idea who Xia Li was. And it was a matter of like, okay, well, this is another one of those first round introductions of these women as characters.
Which is exactly what it was.
Yeah, and you know, it was serviceable. I mostly enjoyed it. I was mostly looking forward to the next match, though, if I'm being completely honest. AK, Allison Kay facing off against Mia Yim.
Allison Kay is actively terrifying to me.
She is, and I've been a fan and followed Mia Yim for several years now, and have been. She also just signed with NXT. I've heard earlier this week.
I believe she's officially signed.
Officially signed now. She was wearing a boot, had a foot injury or something like that for a long time, but all that's done. This match, I was worried initially because this match started off a little slow. I
was surprised it was the main event, and then it showed us why it was the main event.
Oh, yeah. And then about a third of the way through the match, it started just picking up speed, and those girls, man, I am excited about those two. Right
around the time that they were outside and Mia Yim went for a slap on Allison Kay as she was leaned up against the turnbuckle, and Mia Yim slapped the hell out of the turnbuckle and, sold like
it was the ring post.
The ring post, excuse me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And it went clang.
Yeah, beautiful, great sound. And that's when everything really kind of turned in the match, and everything got turned up quite a bit, and everyone got more engaged in it because it was like, oh, wow. Okay. It woke you up.
Shit.
It woke you up. It really did. And it was
Michael Cole, not Morrow, sorry.
I wish it was Morrow. But Michael Cole's doing a serviceable job. I'll give him that. But that being said, this was I thought, she calls it soul food. I know it more as eat defeat. But it was a great looking finishing move. Looked devastating. Allison sold it like a champ. And there you go. Mia Yim moves on and will face Caitlyn in the next round. That's a match I'm already looking forward to.
Keep your eyes on that one because I think that's going to have some ramifications going in later into the tournament. So depending on who wins that match. Well, guys, that's it for the Mae Young Classic. Ian, we got to talk real quick about the Mixed Match Challenge that fired back up this week.
Yeah, Mixed Match Challenge is back. The big news is that Alexa Bliss is out. So this is a bit of a breaking news here. Alexa Bliss actually is having numbness in one of her hands.
Not good.
That's nerve damage. That is very bad, and something that if you'll keep an eye out, she will probably. I don't know if she's out of everything. She's still getting checkups, but they're calling it because of the armbar that Ronda Rousey put her in. That's the kayfabe reason. But if
all those shitty Samoan drops she took from Nia Jax.
Oh, stop it!
You know I had to throw it in.
Or
there.
It could just be that Alexa doesn't like to take bumps, so she keeps taking them wrong. Anyway,
fair.
So if you start seeing her have less action, that may be why. Hopefully, her Evolution match isn't in jeopardy. We will see, but. She is now out of the Mixed Match Challenge, and Ember Moon has been put in with Braun Strowman in her place.
Hello.
Which I think, first of all, is a great opportunity for Ember Moon, and that's a great substitution. That's a great substitution.
I'm all in on Ember.
I mean, look at this. Where this match ended with Ember Moon doing an eclipse off of Braun Strowman's shoulders. Now, Alexa did her Twisted Bliss off of his shoulders before. I don't know. An eclipse looks way more terrifying.
Yeah, it's basically a Stone Cold Stunner. It's a cutter.
From 7 feet in the air.
From 7 feet in the air. Yes, I'll take it.
10 feet in the air.
Oh God!
It was stunning.
I've been saying all year. I think Ember's next. I think she's going to be the next one.
She is sitting there waiting for someone to fall off the map so she can take their place. That's all it is.
And if Alexa does, I think she's a perfect one.
The top is too packed, and someone else will get put. She's just sitting there waiting for that moment to happen, and then boom, she's gone.
She's going up. But I'm a fan. I think this is a great pairing. I love doing the little big again. She is kind of.
She's short, little too.
Yeah, but she's a little more built than Alexa is.
She is, as they say, as the kids say these days, thick.
Okay.
But I'm gonna miss Team Little Big.
Was she lighter in NXT over there, Meltzer?
Not that I'm aware of.
All right, the other one we had was AJ Styles and Charlotte facing off against Jimmy Uso and Naomi. This time we're getting AJ Styles and Charlotte instead of Bobby Roode and Charlotte. For obvious reasons.
Because Bobby Roode, where'd you go?
Yeah.
Where'd you go, Bobby?
I like AJ from grace.
I like AJ Charlotte. AJ's attempt at doing she's doing the kind of the same shtick where like only Charlotte can do the woo and
Did we mention who ended up winning? We didn't mention who won the Braun Strowman Ember Moon match.
Oh, Ember Moon won it with the Eclipse.
That's
and
right.
And then AJ and Charlotte defeated Jimmy Uso and Naomi. Let us move over and talk about New Japan, because we had two big shows to talk about there, and we still got to get to PWG Bola, listener questions, and
we gotta go.
News and notes. Let's rock this, because New Japan did indeed rock this week. Honestly, if you have only so much time in your day, then I understand. There's really only one match you have to go watch from these shows. They were both, it was Destruction in Hiroshima and Destruction in Beppu.
Well, we've been looking forward to this match you're talking about since the G1.
Yeah, I'm going to build up to it, actually.
Yeah, okay.
That's going to be my highlight one, because I swear to God, Taichi is the biggest wrestling troll out there. He's like the Miz of New Japan, where you hate him because he's just there to mess with your expectations. And what was basically just a screw job match, Taichi ends up beating Goto for the Never Openweight Championship belt. Now Taichi's going to be even more insufferable than he already is, which is really entertaining to me, actually. In the main match of Beppu, we had Tetsuya Naito versus Minoru Suzuki, which I was really looking forward to. But honestly, it was a little underwhelming. It was
that's not good.
It was great. Don't get me wrong. I was entertained. I love watching Minoru Suzuki beat people up. And most of this match was Minoru beating the absolute crap out of Naito and putting him to sleep and knocking him around with chairs. And
yeah, but why is that not fun? I would enjoy the shit out of that.
It was very fun. And then Naito did a huge stomp onto a table outside, and he did dominating him. And at the end of the match, it was Destino 1, 2, 3, lol, Naito wins.
Oh no!
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. It felt like a 2011 John Cena match. Minoru, Rapadu.
Right.
It was Naito getting murdered for most of this match. Suzuki destroying his legs in several different submission moves for 15 minutes at a time.
Oh God! Okay.
And then Naito being like, he sold the legs after he gave his post-match promo, but it was still, he could have sold more in the match, and yeah, it was kind of one-sided, and then a shock win. But here's the one to go check out. Destruction in Hiroshima, pretty good show overall. Lots of good undercard matches, which I don't have the time to get into. The main event: Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Now, this was Ishii's championship match that he earned by beating Kenny Omega in the G1. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yes, and he challenged him at the G1 special at the end of the whole G1. Damn, it was a good match. It was basically Kenny knowing that he's better than Ishii, but Ishii just being so damn tough that Kenny got frustrated that he could not put Ishii down. And Kenny starting to lose his cool because he just could not make Ishii go down.
It's fighting a brick wall.
It's fighting
anytime you get in the ring with Tomohiro Ishii.
And also Ishii busted out some insane moves himself. If you've never seen Ishii do a Frankensteiner, which I've never seen him do.
I've never seen
that. He did a goddamn Frankensteiner.
Holy smokes.
There was some absolutely insane moves in this match.
Oh my God.
If you've been following New Japan's Twitter stuff, Tanahashi and Kenny Omega have been going in hard at each other on Twitter, which is not, a lot of people have been freaked out by it because they're going in real hard. Like, they're insulting each other's match styles, and Omega is insulting Tanahashi's hair, which if you've seen Tanahashi, you don't do that to Tanahashi. You don't talk about the man's hair.
Touch my hair.
Don't talk about his hair.
Yeah.
No, like Omega's
it's not that he looks like Sonic the Hedgehog or anything, but I mean,
he looks like a living anime character.
Yes.
I don't know. His hair still looks that way at the end of a match. A 40-minute match, his hair is still perfect. It's ungodly. But Kenny's calling him old. Tanahashi is saying, I think Okada's losing here to Tanahashi. I really do. I think they're building up towards Tanahashi Omega, and they're trying to give it enough pepper and spice that it'll actually become something.
So we're ultimately still going to get Tanahashi and Omega for the championship at Wrestle Kingdom, right?
Unless Tanahashi loses the briefcase to Okada. Oh, and in that case, then Kenny would have to lose the belt to face Tanahashi in some way.
I thought him winning the G1 guaranteed that match.
No, it's kind of like we were talking about early this year with Money in the Bank, right?
Okay.
Is that if you have the briefcase, you can lose it in a match. It can be the stakes for. Over and talk about PWG,
yes.
Pro Wrestling Guerrillas Battle of Los Angeles, which happened this weekend. It's being called one of the best ones that ever happened. Apparently, ton of talent. that was there. We
were not.
We could have gone, but between all the things that were going on, we did not make it. Sadly, however,
I was in the Caribbean. Sorry.
That's okay. The final three this year, however, were Shingo Takagi. You may know him from Dragon Gate. Bandito, who is an up-and-comer who is absolutely... If you saw All In, he was in the main event of All In. And our boy, Jeff Cobb, the nicest smelling man in professional wrestling. And I'm happy to say our boy Jeff Cobb is your 2018 Battle of Los Angeles winner.
Boom!
Very nice. He joins an elite club, including people like Kenny Omega, Sami Zayn. Your boy Ricochet is a two-time winner. Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Zack Sabre Jr., Marty Scurll, Joey Ryan, all former BOLA winners. So Jeff Cobb in a very elite group there. Lots of big things I see heading his way now that he's in Ring of Honor. Apparently, William Regal was there at the show. He was apparently mostly there to scout Brody King, from what I'm hearing reported, who I think would be a big pickup for NXT. He is ripe to go get trained.
He was already kind of. It was rumored that he had signed or he was being considered.
He's still being scouted.
Okay.
Apparently, they were looking at him this year or at this event as well. But apparently, Jeff and Regal had a little tete-a-tete backstage as well. And actually, I loved this. Cobb was interviewed about it and said that he and Regal actually locked up. Like Regal wanted to talk to him about something he could do better, and they actually locked up backstage so Regal could show him how to do it. And he said that was a real big honor. So kind of a cool little
I'm kind of tingling
little
right
anecdote.
He's getting back in the ring. Regal's got one more match.
He can't help it.
Oh God, he wants it so bad.
It's the hardest thing, right?
Put the trunks on and get back in the ring. Come on.
It doesn't seem. It seems like it's one of those addictive drugs you can never quite get over.
I can never get enough of William Regal.
That too.
Please, just keep doing everything you're doing. It's fantastic.
All right, so moving on to listener questions.
Yes.
Thank you guys for giving us these. By the way, if you do want to submit listener questions for the show, please head over and join us on Patreon. It's the cost of a cup of coffee a month.
Yeah.
And
you get to participate in all 4 shows and more. You get a copy of the show notes every week to go along with it for $5 a month.
And
it's less than the cost of that cup of coffee.
You get our eternal gratitude as well.
Yes.
So the listener questions for this week, Rule had one for us. He says that this is actually...
These are both really good.
They're both really good questions.
I want to preface this.
WWE has wasted Zack Ryder. They are, in his opinion, wasting Rusev Day, and he thinks they will waste Becky Lynch. Why does WWE give so much resistance to wrestlers who get over organically by themselves? And would these types of wrestlers do better on the indies, especially with all the possibilities in today's wrestling boom? Nick, go for it, buddy. You take this one first.
I don't know
pal.
if Zack Ryder's so much of a waste.
He's what?
Yeah,
what would you call it?
I mean, it's the broski.
Do you remember how over he was with his YouTube channel?
Of course.
And they buried him, ostensibly at the behest of John Cena.
I'm not going to sit here and compare Zack Ryder to Becky Lynch. You know, it's honestly, I don't think they can screw up Becky Lynch unless they just stop. Unless they just stop booking her altogether. Becky Lynch is always going to be a fan favorite. Period. Hard stop.
Dude. You could have said that about Zack Ryder, and look what they did to him.
Fine.
You can bury anybody.
Yeah.
You can bury. They could absolutely ruin. They could ruin Becky Lynch in a week. They could. Sorry, they could.
So okay, well, weigh in. That's my. I don't think you can. I said what I had to say.
But here's the thing. Why do you think WWE gives so much resistance to them?
I have no idea.
You don't?
I really don't. And I hope they listen, because we constantly go on and on about this kind of shit. We've talked about it endlessly with Rusev Day. We've talked about it a lot with Becky and Road Dogg and him getting on Twitter and doing all of that stuff. We've talked about it endlessly with Roman Reigns, which is kind of the opposite of what he's talking about here, but it's the same contextually. I don't know. Whether you're getting over or you're getting heat organically, why is there so much resistance from the WWE? I think it's because there's one 75-year-old man. It's his way, damn it. You know, it's what he wants.
It's actually a little bit more.
The fans be damned.
It's more nuanced than that, actually.
Okay.
From what I understand, it has more to do with the amount of times that Vince McMahon has been burned by wrestlers becoming bigger than the brand. Whether it's Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, people who have screwed him over and taken money off of his plate to give it to somebody else because their personal image is bigger than WWE, and it's not created by WWE. WWE didn't have any creative control over it. So if Zack Ryder comes along, builds his own image on his own separate platform, and then comes along and says, hey, look at all these fans I've gotten. WWE, either Vince McMahon or as a corporation, looks at that and says, well, we didn't give those to you. How did you get those? And that scares them, right? Because then this person at any point could go to the indies, as Rule says here. Why don't they just go to the indies? You know what?
Because it's hard, and the paycheck ain't as big as WWE.
You got to bust your ass to do it.
Yeah,
not everyone's going to be Cody Rhodes, and not everyone's going to be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
A lot of them are going to be more like Damian Sandow, right? Or it's a little tougher than you think. To go out there and do that, it's a grind, and you got to work your butt off, and you got to get real lucky a lot too.
Yeah.
So it's not just something that you can just go out and do and be the Young Bucks. So it's very scary to leave a regular paycheck and a regular schedule with the WWE for the great unknown, which is what WWE is counting on. There's certainly a bit of Stockholm syndrome going on there as well, where, once you're indoctrinated into that WWE mindset, that WWE is the be-all, end-all, and if you go against them, then you're screwed, and you're also worried about, making waves and rocking the boat. And, remember on Vince McMahon on the Stone Cold podcast where he said, I don't understand why people don't stand up for themselves anymore. They don't, because you've beaten it out of them. You've scared them into believing that we can't.
Nobody jumps for the brass ring anymore.
No one goes for the brass ring, because if you miss the brass ring, you fall off the merry-go-round horse, right?
Yeah. And you get kicked out of the fair.
So, yeah, there's a reason why a lot of people don't want to try and get over on their own. The closest thing I can think of to getting over on your own is Up, Up, Down, Down with Xavier Woods, and he has been openly clear that he's happy to give as much of that credit to WWE as possible, and he, is very kind of humble about it, and has nothing to do with his wrestling character. He even calls himself a different name on that show. It's not about his wrestling character. So he's done a really good job of differentiating that from his WWE persona, so it doesn't freak out the higher ups in the company. But that's absolutely why WWE doesn't want these people getting over on their own if it's not something that WWE has signed off on, because then it's dangerous, potentially, to the WWE, as history has shown Vince McMahon.
There's also a thing that to do with, corporations and whatnot. When anything that you create while employed or under contract with said company is the property of said company. And I could certainly see that WWE is either investing or funding Up, Up, Down, Down, or some of these other side operations, but they ultimately have a say in it. It might appear as though that Xavier Woods is out there doing Up, Up, Down, Down, and he is doing all of the work, but I bet if he left, he probably wouldn't be able to take it with him.
He'd be able to take some sort of thing with him.
He'd have to call it something else.
But here's the thing.
He'd have to start all over.
It's populated by WWE wrestlers right now. He wouldn't have all those guys on it, which is helping a lot of his hits.
Which also means that they're going to own that channel.
Right.
If he ever leaves, or for whatever reason, like God forbid, let's say I don't want him to leave, but if he ever does part ways with WWE, they're going to own that YouTube channel.
Well, they'll make him take down a lot of content, that's for sure.
Or that too.
You know what I mean?
Or both. Yeah.
So, but at any rate, that is the answer. That is my answer to that question. That's why their creative is so uneven. For other reasons, we can do a whole show on.
Yeah.
But that's why they have so much resistance to wrestlers getting over on their own, is because historically speaking, that's bitten WWE in the butt.
Yeah.
And so they don't want to see that happen again.
Next up, we had a question from Will James, new patron. Thank you for joining us, Will. Given the speculation earlier in the year that WWE wanted Brock Lesnar to lose to both Roman and Braun before leaving, and that Brock is set to fight Cormier in the UFC in January, is the crown jewel event in Riyadh or Jeddah. Is it Riyadh or Jeddah?
I think it's Riyadh.
It's Riyadh this time. Is that where we're going to see Braun finally go over both of these guys?
First of all, that's speculation I'd never heard about.
Me either.
Brock going over both, or
Braun.
getting Braun. I'm sorry, Brock losing to both Roman and Braun.
Yes.
And with what they're doing with Braun since he challenged, since Roman Reigns won the Universal Championship.
Yep.
What they're doing with Braun doesn't, at this point, it doesn't make me think that they're having Braun going over in Riyadh.
I don't think so either.
I still am thinking of both of these overseas shows as glorified house shows. I don't think we're seeing anything change hands.
You don't think any belts are changing hands in Saudi Arabia?
I really doubt it. I very highly doubt it.
I will be surprised.
They were criticized for not having anything major happen in Saudi Arabia last time, so they may do something. I don't see the Universal Championship changing hands over there.
No,
I really
either.
don't. I think that actually one of the reasons why we have a triple threat is so that we can have some sort of muddled finish, or actually Braun takes the pin. I'll be shocked, actually, because here's the thing. I think that the fact that they're mentioning UFC so blatantly on WWE TV right now makes me think that UFC and WWE are coming to an accord. They're finding ways where they can do business with each other. And it is.
But Dana White hates Vince McMahon.
Dana White doesn't own UFC anymore.
Well, not anymore. Okay, yeah, that's fair.
It isn't up to Dana White. At this point, it's about what's best for business. Yeah. Right?
Good point.
And so what's best for business is cross promotion.
Yeah, but so UFC has been purchased by Disney and ESPN, if I'm remembering correctly, and now we've got
ESPN, who also is who loves WWE these days.
Sure.
So it is best for business to have Brock look good on WWE TV and UFC. You don't want to have Brock look like a goon as he's about to go face Daniel Cormier.
Yeah.
As opposed to the old way of thinking, which was if they're not with us, we have to bury them on the way out. So I'm not convinced that they're actually going to have Brock put people over on the way out, because I have a feeling he's going to go back and forth between UFC and WWE. That's what it's looking more like, especially after Hell in a Cell, and the fact that he's back.
Yeah. I think that was the big surprise. I think if you had asked me that before Hell in a Cell, I'd have been like, yeah, there's a real good possibility that Braun goes over Roman here. I could see that going back and forth, and just to ramp up the number of, so they can say Roman Reigns is the 6-time Universal Champion, whatever reason it is. That belt's got to change hands a few times, because we've sat for 2 freaking years while Brock Lesnar has held it, and it hasn't changed hands at all, much less appeared on TV. So I think we're all real excited now to see that belt change hands. You know what? There is a small part of me that says Will could be onto something here. They could pull the trigger on Braun finally getting it here, so that it's not on one of their pay-per-views, and that he shows up with the championship, and that they end up coming out.
This is one of their pay-per-views.
But it's a glorified house show, like you just said.
But still, it's counting as a show.
I understand that. But is it within complete kayfabe?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, with nothing changing hands here, is this the time for Braun to go over? But I don't think it's going to happen. Let me be clear.
Okay.
Roman's going to keep it. But there is part of me that's going, they could do that. They could do that. I agree with him. I think Brock's going to go away and train for 90 days for the rest of the year for his match with Cormier in January. He can't be on WWE, not on a regular basis. So I don't know.
But he hasn't been on WWE. It's gotten me twice.
Get it out, Angle.
He has not been on WWE TV on a regular basis all year. That's his thing. He comes in every once in a while, is a big attraction, and then leaves. It works perfectly for his character to be able to do this. Yeah. So
we just have to suck it up and take that kick right in the nuts every single time.
Yeah. Well, if Saudi Arabia is willing to pay him $1 million,
sure,
you damn right WWE is going to do that.
Yeah. We taled about that. I remember from Jeddah earlier this year. Thanks for the question, guys. And remember, if you want to get your questions in every single week, 4 times a month, it's just $5 every month. We put up a post every week so you can put your questions in and join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/BWO. Ian, quick lightning round to wrap up the show here. We've got some last-minute news.
Lightning round of news. All right. So we did not have a Lucha Underground section this week because there was so much else to talk about.
Yeah.
But Lucha Underground is still going on, and it's still freaking insane. And there's big news this week because Pentagon Jr. lost his title.
What?
Lost his title.
I have not seen this week, so I don't know if I want you to spoil this or not.
Dragon Azteca Jr. Was the Gift of the Gods champion. Marty the Moth came back in, and he beat Dragon Azteca there was some other interference. I'm not going to get too into it because we don't have much time.
Right.
Basically, Marty the Moth got the Gift of the Gods, and after a triple threat with Mil Muertes and King Cuerno at the end of the show, Pentagon Jr. was all beat up, and Marty cashed in on him and won the belt. Marty the Moth is your new Lucha Underground champion.
Oh my God.
And he debuted with Chelsea Green. You may remember from All In. Yeah, she's now with Marty the Moth. And gave Pentagon a Canadian Destroyer, which...
Oh my God, what is happening in Lucha Underground?
Yeah.
I find myself saying that every single week.
The Rabbit Tribe. Paul London killed everyone in the Rabbit Tribe, and now is leading Killer Cross to Lucha. It's insanity.
Oh my God!
It's like a Saturday morning cartoon of the damned. It's amazing.
Holy shit!
I love Lucha. It's so insane. In other news, WWE met with Impact Wrestling, but supposedly they're saying it was just about licensing rights.
Okay. Why is this even public knowledge? Did somebody see a sneaky meeting somewhere or going into a building?
They knew. They admitted it. Ed Nordholm and Scott D'Amore were at the WWE offices. They met with. Apparently Vince McMahon was not involved. Apparently it was just Triple H's team for the most part. But it was. They're describing it as quote, a general discussion about the two companies and as a chance to get everyone in the same room as opposed to a specific negotiation. Now they're talking about paying license materials for like the Broken Universe, AJ Styles and Samoa Joe kind of stuff. So they're basically saying it was no. It just has to do with footage and licensing and that kind of stuff. A lot of people are already like jumping off the cliff and saying WWE is going to buy Impact, but Impact is saying it's not on the table.
It wouldn't surprise me, one, but two, it totally makes sense because a lot of these video packages, they're now wanting to show the history of these superstars and the 10 plus years of things that they did before they ever landed in WWE. AJ's
Absolutely.
Perfect, and Samoa Joe,
and Samoa Joe,
and Daniel Bryan are all perfect examples of all.
Can you imagine
things.
if they could build this AJ and Samoa Joe feud off the fact they've been feuding for 10, 15 years?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah,
and we've been seeing them do this with like the ladies or other people in NXT and their background in Progress.
Sure.
So they've obviously already got something in place for Progress. So they probably need the same thing for TNA and Impact. So it makes a lot of sense.
And it makes a lot of sense that they would try to build bridges between them, especially with Impact on the rise and putting out some really good TV, by the way. I haven't really been able to get... we already watched so much wrestling on this. I like to cover as much as possible, but Impact is a really good program if you're still looking for more wrestling to watch. In other news, Starrcade has officially been announced again. It will be taking place on November 24th in Cincinnati, Ohio. We don't know if it will be aired this time, but it has been announced it will be happening. Might be another glorified house show. We don't know. It was a lot of fun last time. Rey Mysterio has been signed to a 2-year contract with WWE per Pro Wrestling Insider and Wrestling Observer News. Rey Mysterio officially coming back. We don't know how he will come back, but I personally look forward to his matches with Andrade Cien Almas and AJ Styles and anyone else who can even halfway work.
Yes.
I'm so down for that. Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor is happening on September 28th. The main event has been announced. It will be Jay Lethal versus Will Ospreay.
Whoa!
For the Ring of Honor heavyweight belt. That's going to be a baller match. And also, in the same tapings, they're going to tape Cody's first NWA Championship defense, which will be against Willie Mack, also known as the Mack from Lucha Underground. That'll be on September 29th. And then let's see, November 9th, Northeast Wrestling is having their 23rd anniversary show. The main event will be Phoenix versus Kenny Omega.
What?
That's going to be a great match. So if you live anywhere near Poughkeepsie, check that out. You also have appearances by PCO, RVD, Darby Allin, Brad Hollister, JT Dunn, etc.
Yeah.
Etc. The class action lawsuit that was being filed by 50 wrestlers was dismissed by a judge this week. WWE was found to not be negligent in treating and preventing head trauma.
I would say they've probably done more than the NFL.
Now, to people who are currently involved with them, but this is people who, from history.
Fair.
This
totally
is
fair.
I mean, there's 50 guys, so I can't read them all off, but this is like pretty much everyone who you've heard has a beef with WWE is on this list. And it might be one of the reasons why they have a beef. Paul Orndorff is on this list. Chavo Guerrero and his dad, the Hebners, Sabu, the Berserker. I'm just looking down this list really quickly. Jazz, if you remember Jazz, Shane Douglas, Muhammad Hassan, Henry Godwin, Mark Jindrak, Marty Jannetty. The list goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of people that are missing out because this did get thrown out of court.
Oh, well.
Scott Dawson of The Revival tweeted out that due to the hurricane, his family house is actually underwater in Whiteville, North Connecticut. North Carolina. North Connecticut.
Whiteville is kind of halfway between Raleigh and Wilmington. So if you can picture that on the North Carolina map, And what's happening right now over there, I've gotten some updates from friends and family. There's this circulation that's happening, and all the water is moving around. So on one day, one town will be under 6 feet of water, and then the water continues to move, and it's the next town over is 6 feet underwater. And for some reason, this is just all the water's moving all over the place. There's a lot of wrestling families and all those people that live in Central and Eastern North Carolina, and they're having to deal with this right now. So the Hardys are no exception. Cameron is out there as well. So the Hardy compound may be underwater. The Lake of Reincarnation may be the ocean of reincarnation now.
The inland ocean of reincarnation. Another news, Madison Rayne, who you may also know as Ashley Rayne from TNA. She was just on the Mae Young Classic. She just signed a 1-year contract with Ring of Honor. So you'll be seeing her over there. They're getting a really good women's division going over in Ring of Honor. Very impressed. And finally, in 4 days from now, our boy Kofi Kingston will become the longest reigning combined tag champion in WWE history.
What?
He will set the record for having held the tag belts longer than anybody else in history in WWE.
Oh my goodness.
Kofi Kingston staring down some. You think about it, he's been around for a while, man. And he's been a champion a lot of the time he's there. So he's staring down a lot of potential records being set.
Well, guys, that's our show for this week. Thank you very much for the lightning round there, Sir Ian Dangerous. As always, as we said at the top of the show, head over to Facebook and join us in the Busted Wide Open discussion group. You can also find us on Twitter at BWO Podcast. If you'd like to support the show, patreon.com/BWO is the best place to do that. $1, $5, $10 tiers, and much, much more. And you can always find merch if you want to get some sweet swag. Let everybody know that we are your favorite podcast. Head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/store. Pick up a t-shirt, hoodie, phone case.
Phone cases?
All that good. Yeah, we get you a phone case.
I need one.
It actually works out really well. And, of course, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and come and join us as we live stream this every week at 5 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays.
If you please, come and join us.
And a reminder.
Bask in our glory.
Yeah, at the top of the show, just a quick reminder, we are going to be a little bit... the live streaming stuff is going to be offline for the month of October until we get the Orbital Jigsaw Arena
not
moved.
Down too long. We're gonna get it back up as soon as possible.
The audio show is going to continue,
correct,
regardless. The live stream is going to be down while we move gear across country. So that's really what that's going to come down to. We'll get everything back up and running as soon as possible, and just keep all of that in mind.
Yes, indeed. And please, if you are listening to us on a podcast, hit that subscribe button. Tell your friends, share us, and leave us a review on your podcast app of choice, iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you are, and let us know what you think of the show. We love getting feedback. And don't forget, we do go live on YouTube when as we were saying earlier, join us in the chat there. We love talking to everybody on the chat during the show.
But I'm Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Podcasts.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.
And we're out.
Hey now.
Hello.
Thanks
for hanging out, guys.
Thank you, everyone in the chat group, for sticking around. DJ Butters, fingers flying there on the keyboard.
Lively today, Butters. Wow.
And thank you, everyone else who was hanging out with us for the show. We appreciate it. That was, pulled it under 2, did we?
No.
Oh, we didn't. Damn.
203.
Dang.
Something like that.
We were talking.
Yeah.
We were talking.
A lot of wrestling.
A lot of wrestling this week, man.
A lot of commercial stuff.
Oh, a lot of graps. A lot of the graps.
We didn't talk about everything either. That's the scary part.
That's what's the hardest
we didn't
thing.
Talk about we didn't talk about Ring of Honor. They've got one coming up, don't they?
I barely touched on Lucha Underground. Impact is just, there's just so much. I could have talked about the entire undercard on the Destruction shows. Like,
Butters, you and Pete Dunne, the Fingerers.
Oh my God. Oh, it's just gonna be nonstop.
Yep.
Nonstop.
Well, guys, thanks again for hanging out. Just a reminder while we're doing this, our last live stream is going to be the Super Showdown in a week from Saturday. A week from this coming Saturday, I believe.
That will be the last live show until you get yourself set up.
Yeah, for about 3 or 4 weeks.
Over in a semi-disclosed location in the middle of nowhere.
Like 3 or 4 episodes. It won't be a big deal.
It's just a little bump.
It's a lot of gear to move, a lot of stuff to change around, and we may even be like overhauling the overlay, changing the service, getting new gear, all kinds of good stuff.
Starship console over there. You got to move.
I get a chance to completely recreate this kind of from scratch. So I'm excited about that opportunity.
I'm looking forward to setting up the Danger Cave and getting a whole new backdrop.
I have to now.
I'm going to have to. Yeah.
Take care, guys, and we will see you. We don't have anything this weekend, so next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. We really do appreciate it, and thank you for tuning in to the Busted Wide Open podcast. We'll see you next time.